I used to be able to do that. Man, what is wrong with me now? You should have seen the face I was making, but you can't because, you know.
And here we go. Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, children of all ages, welcome in. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. How's everybody? Y'all doing all right? Having a good short week, I hope.
Man, you loud today.
Feeling good, Zoe. Feeling good. It's Thursday, and you know what that means. Booked up, tight, busy day on the radio broadcast today. We got to get in on the radio broadcast today. Some regionals talk. Clemson, South Carolina, both hosting. I've got ways they can both win and lose their regionals.
We got some regionals talk. That's what you sounded like.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We got some college baseball.
We're following up all that New York talk that was just on for 4 hours or 3 hours or whatever.
Real nice team you got there, Gamecocks. Be a shame if, something bad happened to it. We'll talk regionals. Got to talk NBA. Game 1 of the NBA Finals is tonight. Whoa. Miami, Denver, heavy favorite out of Vegas. Can the Miami Heat pull the upset? We'll talk about that. We got to get to NASCAR. NASCAR has suspended NASCAR's most popular driver for a race.
Wow, you sound like Cookie the Cook. What are we having tonight? Beans?
That's a hell of a reference, Lonzo.
Thank you.
NASCAR got the wrong guy. We'll talk about that coming up later in the broadcast. The Braves get right. Get a dub over the lowly Athletics yesterday so they don't get, swept by the lowly Athletics yesterday. I'm going to tell you why it's not anything that makes me incredibly confident that this team is good to go. And I'll tell you what they're missing coming up later on in the show. In about, we'll call it 32 and a half minutes from now, give or take a few seconds, we will be joined by Rashad Beard, the host of the Panther Nation podcast. We missed him he missed us last week because dude was out at OTAs at the private PSL practice. Rashad got to go shake hands with players.
He was at the private practice? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So we're going to get some inside.
Rashad knows a guy who knows a guy is all I'm saying.
Nah, he walked up and smiled. They saw his hair. It's like, come on in. That's how that
might
works.
Be it.
That's how that works.
Rashad's a PSL holder, and they had a practice at BOA that was exclusively for PSL owners to show up and attend and get autographs and all that. So we'll talk to Rashad and see what he's got to say at 11:20. It's Thursday, and you know what that means. Fight Club with the great one, Lonzo, coming your way, and no shortage of stuff to talk about as we had not one, not two, but 3 different premium live events go down this weekend. We got to break down results for it.
And there's some boxing news and stuff too. So yeah. Rob's throwing fists, I'm throwing bows. You could see it if you're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, because we're live, because we're always live.
Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, Twitter.com/TheFanUpstate. Go to YouTube and search The Fan Upstate. Subscribe to the channel while you're there, or go to Twitch, search and subscribe to The Rob Brown Show. We go live all 3 hours every day of the week. You get to come behind the scenes, interact with Lonzo and I when we are off the air on a break, as well as the rest of the Rob Brown Show Armada. We would love to have you as we try to grow our streaming community, because our boss has told us to.
Yeah, I got a problem though. I got a major problem. So, it's the last day of school for a lot of people, or it has been, or it's going to be tomorrow. Usually what happens on the last day of school, you're looking forward to vacation, which I'm on vacation next week. But also field day happens, and we're kind of having a field day today. And we're not going to tell you where, but we're kind of having a field day today.
It's close.
Yeah.
You guys can't come to this
Yeah,
one. We invite you to everything, but this one is company one.
So I'm excited about field day and vacation. So it's just like the last day of school for me, even though we work tomorrow and I have a show Saturday. But but still, doesn't it feel like field day though? We're already formulating plans and things that we're going to do and all that kind of stuff. We're going to arrive late because that's what stars do. I mean, so we're going to have fun.
Fashionably late.
But you'll hear us coming before we get there because Rob will be. We here.
So I'm glad you brought that up because it actually leads me to a question that I wanted to listen to ask of our dear listeners. And my question for you, the incredible people out there in Radioland, is this. When you hear the term friendly competition, especially when it comes down to your friends, your family, your coworkers, your spouse, domestic partner, is the emphasis for you on the word friendly or on the word competition? Do you lean more towards friendly competition or friendly competition? Which word gets the emphasis? And the reason why we're asking is because of what Lonzo and I are doing when we get off the air. Our company is having every quarter that our company is in the black, we all go out and celebrate together. Everybody in the building goes out and celebrates together. And today we are doing that. And in the past, it's always been after working hours, right? 6 o'clock at whatever. But we've moved it into the middle of a work day because of the number of people that do morning shows around here. Guys and gals that are up and out of bed at 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning to get here to host their morning show. They have always said, and trust me, as somebody who worked morning shows for a long time, very fairly, you can't ask me to be at a bar at 6 p.m. I'm in bed at 8, right? Which is justifiable. So for this one, we have moved it up in the daytime, and it's effectively mandatory attendance, which doesn't need to be said because we're going to a very awesome place.
Yeah, and we get free stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
They hook us up with food. They hook us up with drinks. There will be various games involved, and not like lame office games, like actual games. I'm not going to tell you what because you'll know where we are, and I don't need you showing up. It's not that we don't love you and want to hang out with you. It's just that this is a work event.
So it's games that Rob and I will be dragging tomorrow because we will do that thing where we know we shouldn't, but that friendly competition thing that you mentioned, you got to do that little extra. I mean,
so that to me is the question, right? Diesel and I, when I first moved here, had a discussion on the air that absolutely took off, right? We were talking about mini golf. I don't remember how we arrived at that discussion point.
Was he making fun of you about how you bring your own putter?
Absolutely.
Yeah, which you should do. Yeah.
Absolutely. The conversation about mini golf came up, and he said, and what he thought was a joke, I get the impression Rob's the type of guy who brings his own putter to mini golf, to which I looked at him and said, yeah, because I want to win mini golf. It is a competition. I want to win. I am not the dude who lets the fiance win. I'm not the dude who lets the nephew win. I'm not the dude who lets the boss win. I am out there to win. So yes, I bring my own putter to putt-putt. Diesel was like, that's lame, bro. Like, it's supposed to be fun. To which I said, winning is fun. Winning is the funnest. Nobody has ever played the game and been like, I'm happy to lose. You might say, I'm okay with losing. I accept losing. Everybody loses. Losing is part of the reality of life, and I get that. It is. And there is a massive difference between accepting that losing is part of life and having fun losing. I'm not here to lose.
You know what? One of the lamest things, and I get it's about sportsmanship, is being a losing team and have to shake the other team's hands. I'm okay with shaking their hands, but I don't want to say good game because I don't, because I just lost to you, and I want to win at everything I do.
Better than losing to somebody who had a good game.
Yeah, I don't care.
It would be.
I don't care
if you lost to a team who had a bad game and you still.
Well,
lost
technically, we had a bad game. That's why they won. not because they had a good game, because we had a bad game. No. It's because the rest of my team didn't step up, okay? I'm out there giving it my all, and these slackers over here caused us to lose. And I don't like that. And I want to tell you, you had a good game when the rest of my people had a bad game.
What I'm hearing right now.
Step it up, people.
Is that if Team The Rob Brown Show loses games at our event today?
Why is it going to be Team The Rob Brown Show? I would think it would be Team Fan Upstate. Like us against everybody. I'm okay, even though we're feuding with people constantly. I'm okay with them being on. I want Diesel on my team.
It's kind of like
I mean, somebody else might be a liability depending on what it is, but I want Diesel on my team.
Look, it's kind of like the SEC. Like we're the SEC. We're the best of the best. Everybody knows we're the best of the best.
It definitely means more over here.
It definitely means more over here, and we are gunning to take down all the other conferences in the building, but it doesn't mean that we don't have a bit of a rivalry within the conference, right?
Okay, all right. See, here's the thing. Okay, some other people in the building will be, well, I'm a star, so I don't do such things. What you mean is you're a loser and you can't compete with people you don't want the L. That's what it is. And you know what? If you want to tell other people that we said it, go ahead. We know how you try to get, and we're not talking about in this room. We're not talking about on this station. We're talking about all these other 6 stations in this building. We're calling you all out. Every one of you.
I'm going to be handing out L's today like I'm getting paid for it. All right. Now.
Yeah. Our NIL agreement is food.
It really is.
We will work for food.
It really is. So with that being said, my question for you is, if you're at a work event or a function of some type that is recreationally based, right? Like it's a corporate event today, but it's a recreational event. We're going to have fun. They're not stuffing us in a boardroom, giving us all a slice of mediocre pizza and going, great job. They're taking us out. We're going out. We're playing games. We're having a great time. So my question is, if you are at an event like that, to what level are you efforting dubs over your coworkers? To what level are you going out there trying to pass out L's? How hard in the paint are you going? So, for instance, one of the games that we will be playing today, and again, I'm sure most of you are going to figure out exactly what we're doing, but it's fine. One of the things that we are going to be playing today is a game that requires communication, coordination, speed, agility. It takes a lot of effort to win this game. Rob Brown, as Lonzo pointed out correctly earlier, is already expecting to wake up sore tomorrow because I am coming to give that smoke. Everybody's catching smoke today, all right? Does that make me a normal guy who loves some competition or a weirdo who takes it too far, right? The fiance and I have had this discussion before because neither of us likes to lose, right? I made a mistake very early in our dating life. We were playing a friendly competition and I let her beat me at something. It has been 2 years and 6 months since that happened. And to this day, if and when that game comes up, she's like, hey, yo, remember when I kicked your ass at that thing we did? Remember that? Remember when I gave you that smoke at that thing we did? And I'll never hear I've beaten her at that thing 15 times since then, but I'm never going to hear about the 1 in 15-1. That's just all there is to it. I will always hear about the 1 in 15-1. And since then, I don't let her win at a damn thing. Nothing. Video games, weight loss competition, doesn't matter. She's not beating me primarily because I don't want to hear about it the rest of my life. So, again, my question here is, when you go to an event like the great one and I are going to as soon as we get off the air today, is the emphasis on friendly or is the emphasis on competition? I'm not asking you because it's going to change my mind. Zoe and I put the emphasis on competition. And if the competition is competitive enough, we'll straight up drop the friendly off of it. We'll be buddies after it's over. We'll be coworkers when it's all said and done because the Odyssey family's here to ride. But in the midst of that competition, should it get competitive, Rob Brown is coming to hand out the L's. And I'll tell people in the building that to their face. No problem.
See, I normally don't speak for people, but I will speak for Diesel and say that he has the same mindset, whether he says he does or not. Because when we were doing the bowling league, I had that one game where I just destroyed everybody, and then he slowly chipped away, and he got better every single week, and then he topped it. And you could tell it was a highlight of that entire thing because my dude, when he wants to do something, he gets into it and does everything he can to improve himself. That's someone who wants to win. So that's why I said, I want Diesel on my team.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, when we step into the arena today, when the Gladiators take to the field today.
I don't know. If a glistening beard could be a detriment, though, in certain places. In darkness, it might show up. That could be a problem. I don't know.
If you've watched every military movie ever, the intimidating badass always rocks the beard, right? It's just a look. When the Gladiators step into the arena of battle this afternoon, I will be very glad to have Diesel on Team the Fan Upstate, without a doubt, right? I will be thrilled because that dude is another cat who does not take L's laying down. He does not like losing. He doesn't like losing in the ratings. He doesn't like losing in the numbers. He doesn't like losing at golf. That dude took up golf like a year ago and is as good as I am now. Probably at this point, we haven't played together in a while, but probably at this point, better than me. Because that's just the dude he is. When he dials in and he decides, I'm going to do this thing and be good at it, there is no stopping this guy. None at all. So I will be very glad to have Diesel on Team the Fan Upstate today because everybody else can get these hands. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, we got to get into some sports, ladies and gentlemen. College football schedules are beginning to be released. We now know the times of the first few Clemson games. We now know the times of the first 3 South Carolina Gamecock football team games. I put one too many words in that sentence, but you got where I was going. What, if anything, can we glean from these schedules? We'll take a look at that when we come back. I'm Rob Brown. He's the great one. You're listening to the Fan Upstate, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. We're back after this.
Glean is a good word, but
Glean's a great word.
I don't think I've ever used it until now in a sentence because I've never done something and thought I have just gleaned some information. Is this something you say, or is it something you say, or do you think it?
Glean is not a word that goes into my day-to-day conversation. There are certain things that I do and say on the radio that I obviously don't do in my day-to-day
Gotta admit,
life.
I'm not quite sure how to spell glean. I think there's an A in there. I'm not positive.
I also don't say schedule when I'm out and about either.
Yeah, but I get what that is. Anyway. I get it. We're the sports station, so you would think we'd be competitive, and we are. But wanting the other stations to be into it the way we are, I guess it goes, I don't know. Makes us look like the jocks of the building. And we had a field day here once, Stephen, when I think I've talked about it on the air, when there were no buildings out here in front of us, and people like broke ankles and stuff. It was horrible. And yeah, I won, but still, they decided to discontinue that. So maybe if it was on a neutral field somewhere or something. I didn't notice the tow truck driver, Kevin.
Yeah, he was standing in front of the tow truck. It went straight over him. Yeah, it was wild. So, we are getting a steady trickle of dates and times for the first few college football games of the 2023 season. We now know the time that Clemson will kick off. We know that Clemson is still an attraction. Their opening day game will be on Labor Day. It will be against ACC rival Duke, and that game will be at 8 p.m. on ESPN.
You know, that's cool and all, having college football on Labor Day, but rival? I mean.
Well, I'm using the word in the generic sense that anybody within your conference is a conference rival.
Okay, so for the last few years, Clemson has no rival in the ACC. I'm just saying. If Duke is their rival, and man, I hope they are, it's gonna be a wonderful year for me. That's all I'm saying.
Let me start by saying I think Duke's gonna be better this year. I'm not ready to say they're going to be good this year, but I think they're going to be better. Lonzo, this was a 9-3 team last year, right? In the ACC, this was a 9-3 team. Now, thank
you for pointing that out. In the ACC, they were 9-3.
I know the response is going to be that's because the ACC sucks, and I get that, but that's a 9-3 team last year.
Although if Clemson's offense is as bad as it was ESPN, I think, said yesterday.
Unranked.
Yeah.
Outside of the top 25 offenses starting the year.
Maybe the Blue Devils have a shot.
Do we know this cat in the black truck over here who's like, oh, no, he's talking to somebody. He just stopped and rolled his window down. Oh, that's the boss. Hey, boss. Howdy.
Really? Really? Did you just do that?
Yeah, I didn't know that was him. Well, I'm assuming he was looking and staring at us because he's listening in the truck.
He was talking to somebody else out in the parking lot. But if he is listening in the truck, I'll get a text in a moment telling, Rob that he needs to see you later.
For the record.
Tell Rob.
For the record.
And he will see us later. So.
For the record, of the boss, here's the thing. He's not going to be Team the Fan Upstate, right? He's too many bosses to take a side here.
Yeah, he runs half the upstairs. So
is he a liability or an asset in today's friendly competition?
Don't trust him.
Fair enough. I expect that.
Yeah, don't.
I accept that and expect that. I think Duke's going to be better this year, and I think that's part of the reason that Clemson and Duke get put in a primetime game, right? I've got exactly and precisely zero belief that Duke can upset Clemson. None at all. 0, not a nil, none. 9, not a chance. But
what if?
But what if?
What if?
This is being put in this spot for the exact same reason that it was announced that South Carolina, when they play Georgia in week, 3-4, is also going to be played on the Big Stick. South Carolina in Athens will take place at 3:30. It is your SEC on CBS game of that week. And the reasoning, to me, is real simple. I got hit earlier this week when that time dropped by a Gamecock who said, Rob, doesn't this mean that CBS believes we can upset Georgia? Doesn't this mean that CBS believes that we have arrived?
No. Here's what I hope the Gamecocks, and I hope our friend Shane Beamer gets it. This is disrespectful. I know you hate that. This is what they're saying is we're going to put the defending national champions on national TV to showcase how great they are against an inferior team. And the Gamecocks need to rise up and go, no, that's not us. We are on the come up. We are going to upset the Georgia Bulldogs.
So I'm gonna
in your face.
I'm gonna
TV.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I'm gonna disagree with you because
Disrespectful.
CBS does not benefit from an ass kicking. CBS benefits from a great game. CBS does not benefit at 3:30 from an SEC butt whooping. Because if I tune into CBS to check out the SEC game of the week and it's 35-0 dogs, what am I doing? I'm jumping over to whatever Pac-12 game is on. I'm jumping over to whatever Big 10 or Big 12 game is on.
Well, CBS will jump for you if it's that
If it's bad.
They'll go to a different game.
So South Carolina is being placed against Georgia because while the heavy money is going to come in on the Georgia Bulldogs, you pick that game because it's a game you look at and go, there's no chance of an upset unless there is. And I feel the same way about Duke and Clemson, though Clemson's in the role of Georgia in that game.
Who has the better shot of upsetting the other? It's got to be
It's Duke. Duke.
That's being disrespectful to the mighty Clemson Tigers. I was going to say South Carolina has a better chance of upsetting Georgia than Duke does Clemson.
I don't believe that. And it is not.
By the way, I absolutely do believe that. I believe that South Carolina has a shot. It's a very slim shot, but Duke has zero chance of beating Clemson.
I think Duke has a slightly better chance, but it's like 2% versus 1%, right? It's not exponential. I think Duke is going to be better than a lot of people think they are. It's a 9-3 team from last year that got better this year. I'm not going to go into a deep dive analysis of Duke football unless you guys just want that for some reason.
Well, who doesn't? I mean, the mighty Blue Devils?
The mighty Blue Devils.
I'm sure there's a sports bar around here where they all meet every Saturday to watch Duke Blue Devil football.
Yeah, baby. Duke was a 9-3 team last year that got better this year. South Carolina was a very good team last year and a team that got better throughout the season. This is not an indictment of South Carolina. This is simply pointing out how damn good Georgia is as a program. South Carolina absolutely has a crack at upsetting Georgia. It is going to take them having a Tennessee day on a day where Georgia has the off day of the decade, maybe. It is going to take South Carolina having a day like they had against Tennessee last year on the same weekend that Georgia has a day like they had against Kentucky last year where they won 16-6 and that game was in question for a minute, or like they did against Mizzou last year when the final was 26-22 and Georgia pulled it out at the very end.
All right, so you know what you just did? You just pointed out all the reasons why there's a possibility that South Carolina could win.
I admit there's a possibility.
But you said nothing about Duke's mighty victories. Do you know why? Because you got to look them up because it's Duke and it's the ACC. Duke's not beating Clemson. They're just not. South Carolina could beat Georgia. Would I pick them right now? No. But that doesn't mean that I won't coming up, when that game's almost here.
The transitive property of football.
Transitive property.
A beats B, B beats C. That means A beats C, right? Does not exist.
See, this is when he throws in algebra to confuse people.
Oh, I suck at math. That's why all my jobs are words jobs.
I did pretty well at algebra.
I suck at math. And then when you take math and you're like, are you confused enough by numbers? Yes. Let's make some of them letters instead.
Hey, man, math is my life. As he points at the screen.
Hate it.
Simple math. They don't tell you about it. But if you're in radio, you need to know, how to read time and add seconds and all that. Yeah.
Last year, the Duke Blue Devils had some games where they really didn't look awful. One of them was against the Rock Chalk Jayhawks of Kansas, a game that Kansas needed to find a TD very late. That is a Kansas team last year that had they had a phenomenal win over a decent respectable West Virginia team. That's a team that beat Houston by 2.5 touchdowns. That is a team that ended up going down to the wire with Iowa State, a team that went to the wire with Oklahoma, who is a national championship dark horse this year. Listen, not everybody can be Bama or Georgia.
Yeah, it's just not working. Okay, South Carolina has a better chance of beating Georgia than Duke does beating Clemson, because South Carolina plays in the SEC. They play stronger competition. They did really well at the end of the year, and you said Duke's 9-3. Yay?
Yes.
Duke is going to get whooped by Clemson.
A Duke last year that beat Miami 45.
By the way, you stream people.
Virginia Tech 24-7 that beat that was within a missed field goal of beating a ranked Pittsburgh team that beat Wake Forest with Sam Hartman that beat UCF in a bowl game.
Wow, those are some big name teams right there.
All right, so Lonzo's
I want to point out,
ranked in the top 8, you suck.
Yeah, pretty much. I want to point out to the stream and probably the text line. I don't have it up because it's toxic. By the way, you can text us at 71307. I want to point out that you can look at a team that you don't like and point out that they're going to win, and you're not being sympathetic to them. They don't need my sympathy. They don't want me talking about them. But Clemson's going to whoop Duke's butt. And Georgia is going to know that South Carolina was there. That's all I'm saying.
All right. What I'm saying is no. And again, I think you and I think a lot of Gamecock fans take that as a slight of South Carolina.
I'm looking at this as analytically as I can, as unbiased as I can, which may not be a lot,
it's got nothing to do with bias. You said it was disrespect.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so that means you took it as a slight.
By the way, we're comparing the two games. Duke is nowhere near Clemson. They're going to get destroyed.
And South Carolina's nowhere near Georgia.
They're closer to Georgia than Duke is to Clemson.
No chance.
Oh, without a doubt.
No chance. A Georgia team.
Rob, I hate when you're wrong. I really do, because I know you need to be wrong.
Well, then you should be in a great mood right now. A Georgia team that will likely finish this year. And again, we got quarterback questions. We got wide receiver questions. We also have 3 or 4 consecutive top 3 recruiting classes to lean on. Reload is the name of the game here for Georgia, not reset.
By the way, I'm not saying Georgia's not. Georgia has got a good shot of three-peating. It's a possibility. But South Carolina is closer to Georgia than Duke is to Clemson, unless Clemson has really fallen down.
The fact that you can't tell me they have not is the reason that I'm saying what I'm saying, right? Even Clemson fans, I think, are apprehensive about what this season looks like. Georgia fans aren't.
Well, it's hard to find the Clemson fans. They put their flags away when South Carolina beat them.
The point,
although there are certain shows where they're still talking about them because that's all they know how to do.
The point here is that Clemson is being propped up in their opener against Duke, 8 p.m. on ESPN. There's other games that day. They're being propped up because they are considered a contender, but they're considered a contender that's got a ways to go against an upstart ACC team that is trying to prove that they're ready to take the next step. It is more than likely that Clemson wins this game going away. But
is there an over/under in Vegas about how many times Cade will hand a ball off in that game? I'm just curious.
There might be.
I mean,
we'll look when we get close.
I don't normally bet, but I'd be willing to maybe put a little cash on that.
On the flip side, South Carolina v. Georgia on the 18th of September. They have been put in the SEC on CBS spot because they believe that Georgia, a contender, is playing a very upstart, very game South Carolina team, and they believe there's a chance as well. More than likely, Georgia's going to win that game going away. Not an indictment, not a slight, not a disrespect to South Carolina. It's a compliment to Georgia. But
how dare you, sir? How dare you in the upstate of South Carolina do such a thing?
I am the worst.
It sounds like you're propping up Clemson and you're tamping down South Carolina. How can you do such a thing?
Not in the least. I am saying Clemson occupies a space alongside Georgia, a contender that they're looking at, an opponent early in the season that they believe will test them a little bit.
Rocky Balboa, he wasn't a contender until he was. I'm just saying.
South Carolina is being looked at as that plucky upstart underdog who has a chance at a contender early. We got to take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, Rashad Beard, he is the host of the Panther Nation podcast. He's going to join us to talk a little Panther football. He was actually at OTAs last week, went eyes on BY in the gang. We'll see what he's got to say and see if Rashad believes that the Cats might be in the mix for a couple of the free agent and trade available big name wide receivers out there. We'll do that next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Things you'll actually use. Rashad, what's up, big dog?
What's up, guys?
How you doing, man?
Pretty good.
How was OTA day?
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
You get a chance to meet some of the fellas?
Yeah. Well, I didn't not necessarily meet, but I did get a couple autographs. Well, one autograph that mattered, and that was Bryce. Get later.
Are you taller than him?
He was sitting down, so I couldn't.
Oh, okay.
Quite.
Oh, come on. Even with someone sitting down,
No, I couldn't tell. He was sitting. He was
okay.
sitting. Probably same height.
Okay. So Rob and I are having an argument. I don't know if he'll bring this up, but by me bringing it up, maybe he'll bring it up about whether Bryce will start game one or not. Now, I'm curious about what you think.
I think it's too. I probably won't know until training camp. I
That's
don't.
no fun. That's wait and see.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I would expect him to, but I just don't know.
See, I'm taking that as he's on my side. He's expecting him to. You're not
Yeah, I expect
expecting
him.
him to.
I expect him to. Yeah, I expect him to start week 1.
There we go. Taking an L before we even get to the place today.
Taking an L?
It's an L.
I won't take an L till week 1, Jack.
It's an L.
Much like the Tennessee Titans, if I take an L, it'll be week 1. Not now.
So do you believe in friendly competition, Rashad?
Nah, man.
Good. Because neither do we.
No such thing.
We're going after the show today. Our corporate outing is today, and it's at a barcade with a bunch of other games as well. And we have been just running smack at every other host and personality in this building about how I'm going to be handing out L's like I'm paid for it today. And I got told yesterday I'm taking it too seriously.
Nah, man. No such thing.
I got something you don't, because when we win, I'm going to say you just got beat by a grandpa. How's that feel?
That sucks.
It would, but I've never been beat by a grandpa, so I don't know what that's like.
Neither have I.
On Thursdays, we talk Carolina Panther football, and we do it alongside the host of the Panther Nation podcast, which you can, of course, find on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. But more importantly, get subscribed to their YouTube channel by searching and subscribing to the Panther Nation podcast. My guy, Rashad Beard's in the house. What's up, big guy?
What's going on? Good to be back. It's been a couple weeks, but we back on it. Let's get it.
Yes, indeed. Well, you were not with us last week because you were out rolling around with BY and the rest of the cats out at the PSL OTA day. How'd it go, man?
Nah, pretty good. Got to see some formations, which was pretty exciting, especially to see on the defensive formations. Got to see Jeremy Chin line up everywhere, which is about expected. Didn't get to see everybody. A couple of guys like DJ Chark were out. Brian Burns obviously was not practicing. Dante Jackson as well. They're kind of rehabbing on a couple of injuries, but it's good. Good to see Bryce get 92% of the snaps, whether it be first team reps, second team reps. He was getting a lot of snaps, so it's good to see him get that experience, and it looked good. He looked good out there.
All right, you answered this question for us off the air, but let's do it on for the folks that are listening here in Radio Land in the upstate. Zoe and I have been going back and forth. My thought is, look, you brought in Andy Dalton for a reason. Andy Dalton was 2 or 3 Saints collapses away from winning the same division last year. There is no rush to get BY out there. Zoe's mentality is you don't draft a quarterback number 1 overall to not play him, to have him ride the pine. If I asked you to put a paycheck down right now, is Bryce Young the week 1 QB1?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the expectation, which is what I said off air. I think that's the expectation is for him to start. It would have to be, he would have to come in pretty mid at training camp for him not to, and I don't expect him to. I think he'll be pretty good. He'll be ready to go. He's going to show and prove, and I think he'll be ready to go week 1. I don't see why not.
Rashad Beard from the Panther Nation podcast joining us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Let's go with the easy one first, man. How did he look in practice? We've gotten some video clips here and there, but again, a video is part of it. It's not going to show you the whole thing. In those videos, dude looks like he's dropping dimes. So what did he look like up close and personal?
Yeah. He looks good. Looks real cerebral. It's really tough to walk away with any kind of gut feeling either way, because the pass rush can't really pass rush, right? They can't touch the guy. They're not pinning their ears back trying to get to the quarterback. It's really for the offense to kind of show off and execute. It's not for the defense to show off and execute, because obviously they can't finish. But he had a really good play where he was scrambling around, kind of looked off to the running back and made a real quick decision to throw it across the middle to, I believe it was Terrace Marshall or Chanel. I can't remember which one it was, but that was a really exceptional play. Showing off. There was nothing really thrown too deep. Just based off of that, I do expect a lot of dink and dunk in our offense. I know a lot of Panthers fans don't like to go back to the Teddy Bridgewater days, but I believe that's what our offense is going to look like. A lot of dependence on the run and a dink and dunk. But I think Bryce looked good. The defense looked good too. Jeremy Chin had a nice pass breakup. So if you want to take any things away from the defensive side of football, I think that was an excellent read by him. But Bryce looked good, man. He looked good. No complaints from Bryce Young.
Rashad Beard here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Let's talk wide receivers for just a second, right? We've had conversations about Adam Thielen. I think Thielen's still got it in him to be one of the best possession receivers in the league, but I still truly feel like Carolina is missing that wide receiver one, that opening guy, that top tier guy. Now, that's not to say that a TMJ or Laviska Shenault won't develop into that guy now that there's no DJ Moore to play behind. But I think Carolina fans are justifiably asking the question, will they be in on a guy like D-Hop? I don't think you have the capital to make a move for a Devontae Adams if he forces his way out of Oakland, because he's going to be a first-round pick, kind of draft pick, and you don't have one for next year because you got a quarterback. So could D-Hop, a Clemson, South Carolina native, be a dude that the Panthers make a play for, or is it just going to be kind of let's evaluate and see what happens?
Listen, you moved up to go get a quarterback and Bryce Young, and I'm on the thought that, listen, I gotta support him. So I know we got Thielen, we've got these guys, we've got a bunch of what ifs. I'm gonna be honest with you. We don't know what we have in Terrace Marshall, we don't know what we have in Mingo. Thielen, I do think is on the decline, although I do think he's one of the better receivers we have. He's not what he used to be, and so you have Bryce Young. You need to support him by any means necessary. So if D-Hop is available and he happens to want to come to Carolina and we can put an offer together to get him, I would absolutely do it. Now, if I'm D-Hop, I'm looking at other options because, one, I don't necessarily may not want to play with the rookie quarterback again. We're kind of on a quote-unquote rebuild. I wouldn't call it necessarily a rebuild, but there's some question marks regarding the quarterback play and the new coaching. But I'm trying to force myself to the Chiefs or the Bills personally if I'm D-Hop. But if we can put something in front of D-Hop to make him come to Carolina, I would absolutely be on that train. We do need a bona fide number one. I don't believe that exists on the roster. I do think that Chark has a ton of potential. But again, it's all about if he can stay healthy. There's a lot of what ifs. And when you get in a situation where you have a rookie quarterback, you have to eliminate the what ifs. Because if you look at Josh Allen, look at how he elevated his play when he got Stephon Diggs. Look at Jalen Hurts when he got A.J. Brown. Look at I can countless guys. So when they got their receiver, their number one target, how their play also elevated. There's no need to wait to year 2 to make that happen. Go ahead and make it happen right now if you have the opportunity to. Guys like D-Hop don't come available very often.
I find this one interesting. There was a report that started circulating yesterday that one of the places that D-Hop is interested in potentially playing is Houston with C.J. Stroud. He said he feels like D'Amico's a good young coach, that C.J. Stroud has got all the athleticism to be a great quarterback and the arm to show for it. My thought here is, if this is true, if D-Hop is interested in C.J., then I think if you're Fitterer, you're on the phone telling D-Hop, my man, there's a reason we went BY first, and we want you to come see it.
Yeah, I mean, but D-Hop has mentioned so many, like he wants his cake and eat it too, right? He wants everything, and as he should. Like, he wants to play for a winner. He wants $25 million. Like, we've heard all these different wants and asks from D-Hop. At the end of the day, he's going to have to make a decision. He's not going to get everything he wants. He may not be able to play with that veteran quarterback on a winning roster that's going to be able to put together a nice offer for him. So he might have to take less to be on a winner. He might get paid more to be on a questionable team like Houston or Carolina. So he's not going to get everything you want. So at the end of the day, put an offer out there, get on the phone with him, kick the tires, see what happens, and you may come up with something. I am happy that we did not have to give up any capital to get him. So now he's available, make a play and see what happens.
Love it. Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Want to talk about some of those defensive guys you mentioned, Brian Burns. We've still getting updates on Gross Matos, etc. But you mentioned the formations of the defense. Ejiro Evero was called over and over. He's a 3-4 guy. He's a 3-4 guy. But in going back and watching last year's Denver team, I don't know that I'd call him a 3-4 guy, Rashad. I think I'd call him a hybrid guy, right? He's going to lean 3-4, but I think you're going to see a lot of formations and a lot of it balanced out. Was there any indication of what he was leaning on when you were out there and through the OTA so far?
Nah, I mean, I think it was really base. There was like a 1 or 2 formations they were running for defensively, and I agree. When you talk about base 3-4 defense, that you're typically going to run that 20% of the time. So you're going to play the matchups. However you can get a matchup, that's what you're going to take advantage of. We saw 2 down linemen. You saw Tuttle and you saw Derek Brown together, and then you would see 2 stand-up guys, and I think it was Gross Matos, and I do not recall the other. Marquise Haynes. Both those guys were standing up. Then you had Shaq Thompson and Frankie Louisville in the inside, and then you had Jeremy Chin playing nickel all over the place, and we have Keith Taylor, and who was the other cornerback? I don't remember the other cornerback off the top of my head right now. And then we had Von Bell and Xavier Woods. That's basically the starting lineup as of right now. You're not much. We got guys kind of injured, so it's kind of is what it is. But again, I agree with you. It's going to be all over the place. Is there going to be 3 down linemen? Going to be 4 down linemen. Sometimes it's a matter of the matchups.
Rashad Beard from the Panther Nation podcast joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. And I'll leave it for you. We got a couple of minutes left here, Rashad. Open-ended to get out of here. We have got week 1 of OTAs in the books. As you mentioned, you're going to get a lot of basic stuff. It's a lot of installation. It's a lot of learning curve. We heard the story about BY seeing a mistake in the playbook and calling it to the coaches and getting it fixed. I think that's a great story. We saw Andy Dalton last week come out and go, look, I know what I am. I know that at some point Bryce is going in his QB1. I'm here to kind of facilitate that and help and move on when it's time to move on. We've heard Frank Reich and Scott Fitter in the comments they've made. My feel after week 1 of OTAs is, football aside, Rashad Beard, there's no drama. There's nothing but cohesion. There's nothing but what I hear, real positivity and confidence and a real camaraderie out of this team. I don't think week 1 in OTAs for Carolina was so much about getting the football right as getting the franchise right. And I got a real good feeling based on what I heard after week 1.
Yeah, I agree. No drama. Nobody injured, right? So nobody's getting injured, which is great. I love it, man. I love what's going on. This is what happens when you have a real head football coach. You don't have a college guy here trying to run a college program. So I appreciate, like I said, Tepper coming in here, getting an amazing staff together and putting these guys on the field. And we'll see what happens. I really like where we stand. I do think Bryce is going to start week 1. I like where we are. And the only question mark I have going to the season is who is going to be that edge rusher opposite of Brian Burns. Somebody's got to stand out. Hopefully, Marquise Haynes will benefit from the scheme change. If not, there's a couple guys I'm looking for them to take a look at. Yannick Ngakoue is still out there. Frank Clark, Clowney, Carlos Dunlap, Trey Flowers. Those guys there's still a lot of talent out there from a free agent standpoint. So hopefully we can get one of those guys if nobody steps up. But biggest question mark for me, edge rusher.
Rashad Beard is the host of the Panther Nation podcast. Follow them on social media at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, go to their YouTube channel, search and subscribe to the Panther Nation podcast. What you guys got coming up, man?
Nothing too much, man. Weekly show. We go live every Tuesday, 8 o'clock. I'm going to drop a video here about how to become a PSL owner because a lot of people are asking me about that, have question marks around that. So, just, it's off season, getting prepared, training camp and all that stuff.
How to become a PSL owner. Step 1, make that Rashad Beard money. That's how you do it.
That is step 1, though. Not my money, but you do got to have a little cash.
There it is. Appreciate you, big fella. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys.
You got it. That is Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. Again, make sure you check them out on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. Make sure that you follow them on YouTube. We're back after this with a second hour of the show and why NASCAR got it wrong, and it's not good for the sport as a whole. Tell you that next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Refunds. You've heard me talking about the payroll tax refund for months. I'm so proud that we've helped over 15,000 businesses claim over.
Rob just ignored all those questions. That's what it was.
You own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. Every client is assigned.
I will pass that on, Trey. And yes, Tracy, I did ignore that question. That's correct. I don't know the answer. I know I'll be at that game.
Well, I mean, I think Rob probably thinks that the Saints are going to win because, they're picked to be the #1 team in the NFC South. So, I mean, and those people that do the picking stuff, they know what they're talking about. Absolutely.
They do.
GetRefunds.com. GetRefunds.com. Are foundation issues at your home distracting you from the important things in life? Travis Benson and his team at C&T Foundations can help.
You are right, Gary. C&T can handle any foundation problem, so our customers can breathe easy and focus on what really matters. Let us handle the foundation repair while you handle everyday life.
Set up a free consultation by visiting yourfoundationexperts.com. Call 864-581-3341. C&T Foundations, your foundation experts.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together, millions of things for our planet. June is the month to make your pet green by keeping them plastic free. When buying toys for your pet, look for toys made with natural materials like cotton, rope, wood, or bamboo. Even better, make toys out of old t-shirts, socks, or towels. Your dog or cat will love your upcycled toy just as much. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
My favorite thing about the Upstate is the pride I sense in each of you.
What's your favorite arcade game? I'm assuming mine was off-road. Area 51. Did you ever play Area 51 back in the day?
I did not, but my back in the day was a lot earlier
That's
than
also
your
true.
back in the day.
That's true. Area 51 was my game. We had an arcade at the Santa Rosa Mall called Diamond Jim's Arcade. And my buddy Drew Holt, and my best friend at the time, Drew Holt, and I would very frequently, folks would get $20 from their parents and go to the mall, and they'd get like a food and a drink and then maybe go shopping and find some stuff to buy. Drew Holt and I would go to Diamond Jim's. We would put that entire $20 bill into the coin machine. We would roll up on the Area 51 cabinet, and we would play until we were out of quarters. And this was back in the day when a video game machine was a quarter.
I think they still are, aren't they? Unless it's
Oh, no, dude. Most of the game, I go to
unless, of course, you go to the pinball museum where you can pay a certain fee and you can play all day.
Pinball Museum, Pinky's Arcade, which is a barcade over in Taylor's. I hit them up because it's like $12 to get in the door, but every game is free as long as you're there. Oh, and there's a bar. But I've been to arcades in the last year or two that it's like $1 to play a game, which no.
By the way, real quick, no, Kevin, mine wasn't Asteroids. I did like Asteroids.
It was a Galaga, man.
I do love Galaga, but it was Gorf, and it was 1941.
Gorf?
Yes, Gorf.
I don't even know what Gorf
Well,
is.
it's like 3 or 4 games in one. It's a game where you walk by and it insults you to try to get you to play. So it's very snarky. So of course I was attracted to it. And 1941 is a playing game where you can do loops and stuff.
1941 wasn't the year you were going to arcades?
No, it was not. I don't think arcades existed then, but it was one of those things where I could put down a token or a quarter and play all day, and people would be gathered around you. Yeah, I could play forever on that game. I did play Pong, by the way.
Like on the little thing in the house with the dial?
Yeah. My one of my stepdads bought it at a yard sale. Yes, my original system was the Atari 2600. And I didn't like Hubert because he's annoying. Oh, that's cool, Steven. Hopefully she wanted it, though. Hopefully that wasn't just for you. I mean, Look what I got you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Look
okay.
what I got you. Anyway, see ya.
Okay. Well, I'll play it then.
I went ahead and set it up for you. Oh, and set all the high scores.
That's awesome, Steven.
Our numero dos of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Fan Upstate. It is wonderful to have you back. My name is Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo, is on the other side of the metaphorical glass, working the ones and twos, making the show sound as good as it does today. All of the credit if you like the show, all of the blame if you hate it, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, as soon as we get up out of here today, Lonzo and I will be heading on down to the barcade where we are going to start handing out L's like it's Halloween candy.
Now, I don't want the other stations to go, there's no sense of even trying. We want you to come. We can't win if you don't play. So, I mean, so come on over, step up, take your L, and then walk away.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how it's going to go.
That's pretty much how it's going to go. Let me get to a story real quick that I wanted to knock out. And I won't spend a ton of time on it because I know that NASCAR is, I think, a relatively well-followed sport here in the Carolinas. But I also understand it is not a forefront sport, right? It's never going to get the radio love that college football, the NFL, et cetera, get.
Unless they're fighting.
Interesting you should say that. So, this past weekend, well, technically Monday, was the running of NASCAR's longest race of the season, the Coca-Cola 600, just up the road in Charlotte, North Carolina. That is a race I went to the last 2 years. I did not go this year because I was down in the FLA for Memorial Day with La Familia. But it's a race that I went to the last 2 years, including last year when it was the longest race in terms of minutes of running, longest race in NASCAR history. It was a lot. It was a lot. But that's the fun of that race, right? You stick an extra hundo on the end of it. Drivers are having to really fight to make it through stamina-wise. That's why that race is so intriguing, even if it is on a somewhat cookie-cutter racetrack. Well, about halfway through that race, there was an altercation between the driver of the number 11 car, Denny Hamlin, and NASCAR's favorite driver, Chase Elliott. Now, I don't have any ill will towards Chase Elliott. In fact, I'm about to defend Chase Elliott and his actions this weekend, his actions, which, by the way, got him suspended for one race. I don't have a problem with Chase Elliott. I do have a problem with hearing the phrase, NASCAR's most popular driver, every 10 minutes on every broadcast they do.
What if he was your favorite driver? Would you be okay with it then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would.
All right.
And here is why. It's off-putting, right? It's off-putting. Because I don't know, first off, that it's true or it's not. Maybe it is. But it's got the same vibes as when the Arlington Cowboys refer to themselves as America's team. We're America's team, y'all. Why? Because we said so. Because because one TV announcer guy back in the 90s said it, and we just liked it, so we ran with it. We're America's team. They're not, dude. You're Dallas's team. You're Arlington's team. You're not even Texas's team anymore, because Houston is, and this may shock you also, in the great state of Texas.
Yeah, but I don't know if I went with Houston because they're not very good.
Doesn't matter. They're in Texas, meaning the Dallas Cowboys are not Texas's team. Certainly that means they're not America's team. I get the same vibes here, though it is not Chase Elliott that is out there every day calling himself that. NASCAR's doing it.
Yeah, when he wins a race, he doesn't go, it's great to be, America's champion.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do that, right?
Yep.
And then he drinks milk. I don't know.
But that's not the point of this conversation. What is the point of this conversation is that about halfway through the Coca-Cola 600 on Monday, Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott were battling for position going into turn 4. Going into turn 4, Denny Hamlin put the squeeze on Chase Elliott. He ended up pushing Elliott all the way up against the wall. Elliott scraped into the wall, and after he did, Chase Elliott's car turned left, which usually in NASCAR is kind of the point, except for they were on a straight part of the track coming through and out of turn 4. Chase Elliott, it certainly looked like on the broadcast, intentionally wrecked out Denny Hamlin for squeezing him into the wall.
So they turn left into traffic?
He turned left directly into the rear left quarter or rear right quarter panel of Denny Hamlin. So, yes.
Okay.
So, yes. So, after the race was over, there was a big controversy. Was it intentional? Was it the car braking after being shoved into the wall by Denny Hamlin? Or did Chase Elliott spin Denny, collect him, and end his day intentionally? Well, there was a big question. There was a big discussion. And then Denny Hamlin decided to involve himself any further. When Denny went on Twitter, he went and he pulled the track analytics and the car analytics from the onboard computer of Chase Elliott's car. He actually went, and I'm putting this up on the stream. For those of you not watching, now's your opportunity. He actually went and he pulled the computer tracked info from the car itself through the moment of the impact with Denny Hamlin's vehicle. And he said, absolute left hook, cranked the wheel 4 times harder than he did any corner, making it through any corner the whole day. Bull boat move. And if you look at the graph that Denny Hamlin posted, which again, if you're not watching the stream, it's up there now. This is why you should always tune into the stream. If you look at the 4th line down on that graph, you will see the steering column of Chase Elliott. The further the spike is towards the top of that graph on your screen, the harder the steering wheel is being cranked to the left. And if you see the red line there on the screen, that's the moment of impact. And if you look at it, you can see that Chase Elliott had cranked his wheel about 71 degrees to the left. There are no corners on that track that require a 71-degree crank of the wheel to the left. Denny Hamlin brought the receipts that Chase intentionally wrecked him, and he proved it.
All right, so how are they allowed to have access to another driver's stuff?
Everybody has this. You can go on their website and pull this stuff, if I recall correctly.
Do you think that's cool? Because I don't. I mean,
I don't
because
particularly have a problem with it.
Yeah, I do. In this case, I do. Back in the day, they wouldn't have went, well, I'll just go and improve and just, I mean, that's just,
I get your point. I'm not saying you're wrong.
As a nerd, I just want to say NASCAR should not be nerdy. There are certain things that just should not be nerdy.
I got bad news for you, buddy.
And NASCAR is one of those.
I got bad news for you. Remember when we went into the Rona lockdown?
Yes.
Remember the first sport that popped up on TV?
Yes, I do.
NASCAR
Yeah,
played
but-
video games for
but
us,
that's
and it was amazing.
That's different. Video games are mainstream now. This is a level of nerd. I mean, does he think he's Batman? I mean, it's just, why are you doing this? I mean, this is going to, so this might end up becoming a trend and a problem. And if it does, hopefully NASCAR will go, you know what? We're not going to make these available anymore.
Here's why you do it. Here's why you do it. Because of exactly this situation, right? Denny Hamlin, I don't think it can be proven.
I was going to say, is this absolute proof? He got suspended, I guess. Is it because of this?
Coming to that, yes. But yes, coming to that. Denny Hamlin just brought a receipt to the table. He claimed, and now it has been proven that he accurately claimed, that Chase Elliott intentionally wrecked him out. People were like, no, Denny, you're being a crybaby. Why don't you chill? And Denny showed up with the receipts. Went, look, dude, he cranked his wheel 72 degrees towards my car. There's only one reason you turn the wheel that hard, and it is to throw the front end into the rear end. That's not a good look. So Denny brought the receipts there and proved that Chase did what he said that Chase did. Now, that is interesting because it would be about a day later that NASCAR would announce that Chase Elliott was suspended for one race due to his actions. Now, this is interesting for a few reasons. We will start, of course, with the fact that Chase Elliott is already on a playoff exemption. Remember, he missed a number of races because he broke his leg snowboarding earlier in the year. Missed a handful of races. NASCAR said, we're going to put you on the exemption where you can make the playoffs if you accomplish these things. Why? Because he's NASCAR's most popular driver. They want him in there. But I get it. I get it. Here's where I think NASCAR screwed the pooch, right? NASCAR had an opportunity here. I get that you can't have guys wrecking each other out, right? Because if it gets to the point that it's just a glorified demolition derby, nobody's going to be making it to the end of races, right? You're going to have 3-car teams out there. You're going to have 2 cars that are effectively the goons, and one guy that you're trying to push to the front. And you're going to have a chaos, just chaos in the background.
You mean like it was back in the day?
Yup.
Okay, so apparently that wasn't entertaining.
Oh, there's a difference between entertaining and good. And I think there's a mix somewhere in the middle. And here's what I'm driving at. I watched that race. I watched it on replay because it was running. I was listening to it on the drive back from Florida. I watched the highlights back on replay that night when I got to the house. Denny Hamlin was absolutely putting the hit and squeeze on Chase Elliott for like a chunk of that race. For a chunk of the race, every time Chase Elliott would build up a head of steam, get a run on Denny Hamlin, get able to maneuver that nose inside that rear quarter panel and start to make a run on the 11 would start to slide up the track and either bump into Chase Elliott and steal his momentum away from him, or, as he did on that last lap, push Chase Elliott into the wall. And at a track like Charlotte, which is a mini super speedway, it is a track where the aerodynamics of your car need to be as close to perfect as possible to have a chance to win if even one car is pristine in the final 4, 5, 6 laps. To get your right side shoved into the wall, to ruin the aerodynamics of your car, is effectively a death sentence at your chance to win. And for a guy like Chase in a spot like that, what's the point of racing if I can't win, right? And if I can't win because of what you did, you know what's going to happen next? You can't win either, dog. If you take my chances to win away from me, I will take your chances to win away from you too. Neither one of us is winning this thing, fella. If you chop the legs out from under me, I'm going to chop them right back from under you. Ain't neither one of us taking the checkered flag today, Jack. Not happening. No, sir. NASCAR blew it here. Why? Because they could have, without a doubt, gone back, evaluated all of the confrontations between Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott. And they could have said, look, there was a lot of contact going on here. We cannot say for sure because a texter just went where I was going. He said, and I quote, I still say Keselowski hit Chase, pushing him into Denny. I don't think Chase is dumb enough to intentionally wreck Denny when he is fighting to make up points from the broken leg. And I think you're right, Texter. I think there was a little bit more to it, but that wheel crank is a good argument. But because you said what you said, which I'm glad you did, thanks for the text at 71307. Start your text with FAN, FAM. We'll read them on the air. The response that I had to it was this. If I'm NASCAR, I'm not suspending Chase Elliott. I'm going back. I'm literally putting together a highlight film of all of the conflict between Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott all day long. And I'm going to run a highlight film online of all of that conflict. And I'm going to dress it up as, look, we can't have drivers intentionally wrecking each other out, but we cannot prove that Chase Elliott intentionally wrecked Denny Hamlin, and we cannot suspend a guy if we can't prove that he did. That being said, tune in this Sunday for NASCAR on Fox when Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin are racing each other again, right? You sell it as a fight. NASCAR's biggest successes of the last couple of years have come when dudes are punching each other in the face. Now, I'm not saying that you encourage fist fights on pit road after it's over, said, and done, but here's the thing. When guys are wanting to deck whoever, Ross Chastain, in his face after a fight is over, I am more likely to tune in next week. Because what's the old joke, Lonzo? Most people watch NASCAR for
the wrecks.
The wrecks. No, I'm not saying NASCAR wants all their drivers wrecking out every week. Of course not. What I am saying is I want rivalries. I want conflict. I want drama. I don't want 42 guys or whatever number is in each race. It's, it can be different week by week or whatever. I don't want these cats just racing the racetrack. I don't want them just out there all turning the fastest laps that they can turn. I want them racing each other. I want drama. I want conflict. I want collision. I want NASCAR to be entertaining because I want the sport to grow. And while guys like Rob Brown can appreciate all the work that goes in from the pit crew, from the crew chief, from the engineers, from the folks building the cars to the guys driving the cars. I appreciate all of it. At the end of the day, you've got to get people in who are excited by the racing. The racing. Now, eventually, if you do it right and they get in for a while, eventually, as I did, they'll start to learn about the crew chiefs and the pit crews and wedge and chassis adjustments and 2 tires versus 4 tires and slick tires versus rain tires versus hard tire. They're going to learn all that. And then they'll start to appreciate it more, but you got to get them in the door. And you had a real opportunity to get them in the door here by going, look, Denny and Chase had a lot of altercations in this race. It led to an unfortunate situation where 2 of our household drivers got taken out. We can't prove it was an intentional decision. We can say the next one we're going to have eyeballs on. But until then, tune in this Sunday at 2:30 on Fox when the boys are running next at. And you get people in the door because you have built a rivalry here. NASCAR missed an opportunity with this. They got the wrong guy, and that is wildly disappointing. Let's take a break, ladies and gentlemen. I should have meant that. It's disappointing from someone who loves NASCAR and wants it to be more popular. Now let's take a break, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, big conversation out of the Southeastern Conference right now. 8 games or 9. Greg Sankey says they have not reached a decision. In fact, it seems that they're pushing the vote off. So A, would they move? B, how does it impact the traditional rivalries in the SEC? And C, how does it impact the Gamecocks? We will answer those questions next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
News Talk 98.9 WORD Weather Center. Here's the Carolinas' most trusted forecast.
Mark Ryan and Diesel. If Clemson and South Carolina are going to reach their potential in 2023, it will be because they did this. We'll pick nominations for our Upstate's favorite athlete bracket, plus Root Serum and so much more, all on a Friday Eve episode.
Number one for real afternoon sports talk.
Offsides with Mark Ryan.
3 to 7 on the Fan.
Upstate.
Listen on the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate.
Should we play this when we enter the building?
I have a recurring dream where I make so much money that I can pay a guy to go into every room I'm about to walk in, set up a DJ booth, and give me walking music. Every room. Doesn't matter where I am. That's the dream for me.
I just want to do with a keytar that follows me around. You can play keytar, you can play anything. So
I want to have dinner reservations at 7 p.m. And at 6:50 at that restaurant, a dude walks in, sets up a DJ stand, and at 6:59, he starts bumping something like this, and I just walk into the room like it's completely natural. Everywhere I go. I would take a dude with a boombox. Give me a guy with a Bluetooth speaker and an iPad. Just rolls into the room and plays Cowboys from Hell by Pantera, and I kick open the door.
I was going to say, you're coming in violent, I guess.
It's a great walkout song, man.
I thought maybe you would would vary according to the venue.
No, I got to go heel, man. I got to disrupt wherever I am. The Southeastern Conference meetings are taking place down in beautiful Destin, Florida, as we speak. By God, that's Rob Brown's music. Well played, James. Well played. The SEC meeting's taking place down in Destin, Florida, and there are a few decisions that need to be made. One of them is with the expansion of the conference to add Texas and Oklahoma to the mix. Should the conference move from an 8-game conference schedule to a 9-game conference schedule? Now, most coaches so far have been lacking in opinion, or at least one that they'll express vocally, which is, frankly, out of the norm for college football coaches. Usually, most of them are more than happy to give you their opinion about a thing being good or being bad. This is no different. The conversation is taking place between the conference, but for the most part, the coaches have said nothing. In fact, the one that has is Kirby Smart, who said, whatever, dog, do it or don't care, just make a decision, right? There have been a few who have offered some comments that lead you to believe that they are positive or negative. But my initial thought is, yeah, do it. And do it for 2 reasons. Number one, the overwhelming majority of non-conference games are scheduled against lesser opponents. Not always, but the overwhelming majority. Every now and then, you have a spot where an Alabama plays a Florida State or a Georgia plays an Oregon. And that's because they're draws, right? It's because they're draws. But the overwhelming majority of them are against FAU or against Furman, with all due respect to the Dens. They're not against the top tier of college football. Now, it's great for the smaller schools, right? Furman's going over to Columbia this year to play South Carolina and the Gamecocks home opener in week 2. I suspect that the Dens are catching a fat check from being willing to go over there and take on the Gamecocks. It's good for them, but there's still 3 available for every SEC school. The second reason that I say do it is because with the 8-game model, you are looking at divisional rivals and one every year opponent. With the 9-game, you're looking at a setup that would see you play 3 rivals every year, and then you would play the other 6 rotating through, the other 12 on a 6x6. So you would play in odd years, 6 of those teams home and away. And then 2 years later in the odd year, you would play those same 6, but you'd flip the destinations. You'd flip the venues. It allows you to keep classic rivalries in place. South Carolina can still play Florida every year. Florida can still play LSU. LSU can still play Arkansas. Georgia can still play Auburn. The Iron Bowl. Iron Bowl doesn't have to go anywhere. That works just fine. That works just fine for me. It allows you to keep some of the classic rivals in place while also giving you a frequent, recurring set of home and aways between everybody else. I love that. Now, the question mark that got asked was, if the SEC does add one more conference game, which of course eliminates one non-conference game, and for most schools, that means it largely eliminates pay-to-play games against smaller schools, largely considered tune-up games. Is there a possibility that some of those schools might get rid of their out-of-conference rivalries? Georgia, Georgia Tech, Florida State, Florida, South Carolina, Clemson. If South Carolina was asked to play an additional SEC game every year, might they start looking at getting rid of some of the out-of-conference rivalries? I don't know about the rest. But Shane Beamer, earlier this week, said if the Gamecocks are asked to play an additional conference game every year, they would still fight to make sure that Clemson's on the schedule every year. Shane said, we understand how important this rivalry is to the folks in South Carolina. We understand how important this rivalry is to college football. This rivalry will go nowhere, regardless of whether the SEC stays at an 8-game schedule or moves to a 9-game schedule. So that's good news. That's good news. I don't want that rivalry to go anywhere. I don't think that rivalry needs to go anywhere. So should the SEC move to a 9-game schedule? The answer to me is yeah. Yeah.
Especially if you want strength of competition, because there's no better competition for the most part than your own conference.
That's a fact. That's a fact. A 9-game slate does a few things. Number one, it does something that I am in favor of. It gets rid of divisions. I think we are getting conferences that are too big to justify divisions anymore. Just have everybody play most everybody and take the top 2 teams, right? Set up your protocols for what your 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tiebreakers look like. And let's let the top 2 teams play for a conference, because what you don't want is a year in which, let's say, Alabama and LSU are far and away the best 2 teams in the conference, but they're in the same division. So instead, Alabama's going to play Georgia, who's down that year, in my hypothetical creation here. Or a year in which Georgia and Florida are clearly the best 2 teams in the SEC, but you got to pick a lesser team from the West to move on. Get rid of the divisions. Let's let the 2 best teams play each other, even if it results in a rematch, because rematches are entertaining when there's a trophy on the line for number 2. The other reason it's not a big deal, and we're going to get to this here in just a minute. The other reason it's entertaining to me is the reality we face moving into a 12-team playoff model. With the 12-team playoff model, with the 6 conference champs being automatic qualifiers, having these teams sharpen their iron against each other is going to give you a much better picture at what those 6 non-AQs are going to look like. Is it going to make the path to being a 2-loss non-conference champion yet qualified for the playoffs be a little bit more difficult? Sure. Sure it is. But it is the direction everybody's going in to make your conferences better, make your conferences stronger, and increase the arguments there. This, without a doubt, would likely bring the average number of losses per team up, right? Because every game that's added, an SEC team is going to take a loss. There are more losses to go around if Arkansas is playing 9 instead of playing Arkansas Pine Bluff in one of those games. But if you believe the SEC is the best conference in the country, you should want them to play each other. Not only are we as fans going to get more entertainment, but you're also going to strengthen that belief and the teams that ultimately make it into the playoff. Under an 8-game schedule, each SEC team would have 1 permanent rival and then play 7 of the remaining teams one year and the other 7 the next year. In the 9-game, you'd have 3 every year rivals. And then the other 6 teams you would play one year and the other 6 the year after that, alternating the homes and aways. The other thing it does is make sure everybody's getting everybody consistently while keeping those main rivalries intact. LSU can still play Florida, Arkansas for the Boot Trophy, and Alabama, the front 2 runners of the SEC West for years in a row, every single year. Alabama can still play LSU, Auburn in the Iron Bowl, and Georgia, if that's who they get matched up. South Carolina can still play Florida, Tennessee, who they're in the process of developing or continuing to develop a nice little rivalry with every year. And if I'm Greg Sankey, Kentucky, because I want that coaching matchup every year.
Yes, we need that every year, at least for now.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and call the shot here that while it is going to make the weekly schedule a little bit more difficult for SEC schools, it is going to be better for the SEC and the teams within it. Now, while we're on the college football discussion, Greg Sankey said something else yesterday that I do not think is getting enough discussion. It is something that I think would not only be a drastic change to college football, but I think because one of the commissioners of the Power 2 said it, it's got a very good chance of becoming real, and it will impact every college football fan. I'll tell you what it is when we come back. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. You're listening to The Fan Upstate. All right, I got to go grab a guest real quick. Be right back.
Yes.
the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, they're extremely important from a budgetary relief standpoint. I mean, they definitely help out from an operating budget. It's nice to be able to go to play in these venues, particularly those in the upstate area, against teams that people are familiar with, and also give an opportunity for our fans to travel, an easy location for our fans to get to. And also, truth be told, it's not necessarily in the dollars and cents and the compensation, but it's the exposure. It's the opportunity to play these teams. And they announced we'll be playing, South Carolina, a night game on the SEC network. That's big time exposure for Furman. And especially with, we go into these games thinking we got a shot. We're going to win, right? So we're always thinking that, well, okay, here's a major platform for us to come in, knock off a big dog, and put Furman on the map, much like we saw in the NCAA tournament for basketball. Our coaches, our players go into this thinking that they're going to win this game.
You basically never know when your Appalachian State Michigan game might come, and everybody's talked Mountaineers since that time. That would be huge.
100%. And that's why, yes, from a financial standpoint, the check that's collected and what we get for playing that game is huge. But what we do from a mentality standpoint, how we approach the game, what we think the impact would be after a win, that's also extremely important too for the athletic department and for the football program.
One of the things that's interesting, and this is somewhat related, though not entirely, you told me during the break that you guys also understand the logistics, and let's call it what it is. College football is driven by finance. Anybody who says opposite is lying to themselves. You guys understand the logistics of prep, travel, the expenses of prep and travel, et cetera, which is why you guys have kind of gone out of your way, not just to play these games when they're available, but to go to Clemson and put up more total yards than they did last year, to go to Columbia and play South Carolina. It's really not just let's go get a paycheck and play a big team, but it's also, hey, let's be smart about how we're doing it and make sure that game is still accessible to our Paladin folks here in the upstate.
100%. And that's why it's not just, it's never as easy as, well, go play a Cal, go play a Stanford, go play a Pac-12 team, or go play a team that, in the Big 12. There are logistics that come into place. There's costs associated with travel, costs associated with accommodations that have to be taken into account that end up actually depleting the overall compensation you'd receive for those games. So Coach Clay Hendricks is so extremely cognizant of that and understands those things. And really, for us, we want to make sure that we have our solid brand built within the upstate and the region. So yes, to your point, it's extremely important that we provide the opportunity for the Paladin faithful to be able to come and watch their team play.
So let me ask you this from a behind the desk perspective. If the SEC does move to a 9-game schedule, I'm going to assume the Big Ten will probably follow suit. The Atlantic Coast Conference, as they cling to relevancy, will probably do the same. The Big 12 will down the path do the same, because there's really no point in building these super conferences if you're not going to have them be the feature as often as possible. If they do make that move, are you guys keeping an eye on that? And is there any speculation at all as to what impact that would have on a program like Furman?
Yeah, I think you have to have one eye down the road and just understand what the landscape could potentially bring about. Listen, our biggest opportunity from a financial standpoint is build from the inside out. And by that, I mean invest in our program. The compensation we receive for these games is nice, and it definitely it helps our budget. But really what we want to do is focus on Furman, and we want to focus on Paladin football, and we want to focus on getting 16,000 fans at our home games every 5-6 times a year. That's where we build financial stability. That's where we're able to make an impact. That's how we can really help our institution and our program and our fan base. So as much as we do, we want to keep an eye on what's available and what's going to take place down the road with how conferences shift out and what their priorities will be. Our priority's got to be Furman. It's got to be Paladin football. It's got to be, how do we get as many people on our campus and our stadium for our games as much as possible?
Drew Ingram is the Senior Associate Athletic Director at Furman University, stopping by just to hang out with us for a couple of minutes. And I don't know, man, you guys obviously are watching, because what happens at the top tier, the Power 5 level, the SEC, the Big Ten, and I'm not just talking about the scheduling changes. I'm talking about expansion of conferences, because I don't think 14's the limit. I think some of these conferences could get as big as 18 or 20 down the line, which means there are going to be other conferences that are kind of the middle conferences right now that might start looking towards some of the smaller conference to grab teams and move them up. What what kind of conversations are taking place? You know, you said it's good to have one eye down the road, and I couldn't agree more. But in having that eye turned down the road and keeping an eye on this, are you guys having conversations about trying to guesstimate what the future looks like and how it could impact you guys?
100%. I mean, those conversations take place regularly. And if they don't, you know, was that a John Wooden quote, failure to prepare is preparing to fail. And we want to make sure that we have Furman in the best position possible when these things start shifting around, and knowing that some of the decisions that are made will directly impact or completely out of our control. I was at a previous institution in the Big 12 where when the announcement came down that Texas and Oklahoma were making the change to the SEC, and nobody knew about it. And it sent shockwaves through the conference. And so I had a firsthand experience of what that's like, on how a decision that can be made in the middle of the night you can wake up the next morning and have it rock your day to day. So it's crucial for us to know the landscape, to have a multitude of plans available, but then also not hit the panic button, not to send fear out to the fan base, not fear out to prospective student athletes and people who are interested in coming to Furman. Stability, we want to establish a sense of stability. We want to establish a sense of preparedness. So it's a careful balance between those two.
Drew Ingram, Senior Associate Athletic Director at Furman University, stopping by to hang out with us here on the Rob Brown Show for a few minutes. Good to talk to you, brother. Appreciate you coming by.
I appreciate it. And just like, typically I do wear purple. This is so they know that I definitely this was not planned. This was not I was just dropping off some stuff, and I appreciate the opportunity, but I want everyone to know that on the stream particularly, that typically I am rocking the purple and the Diamond F.
Can confirm. I have bumped into Drew a number of times. I will tell you this real quick funny story before I let you get out of here. You guys hooked me up. I did some stuff with you during basketball season. You guys hooked me up with an FU hoodie, right? I went home for Thanksgiving last year and I wore that hoodie, and I didn't think about it, right? Because it's gotten so normal around here that I went home. I wasn't thinking about it. I wore the hoodie to my grandmother's house for Thanksgiving. When I walked in the door, my 80-plus-year-old Irish Catholic grandmother looked at me and was like, "No, leave." And so I explained what it was about.
Yes.
And then Furman gained like 5 or 6 family fans of mine who were all tuned into March Madness, pulling for the Dens because of the branding. Well done.
Well, let me tell you, that is definitely by far the most popular item we have is the FU apparel, whether it's hat, T-shirts, or hoodies, particularly to those individuals who are from hometowns throughout the country.
Yes, indeed. Drew Ingram in the house with us, my man. Good to see you. Thanks for coming by, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we got to talk NBA Finals Game 1. That's up next. And then it's Thursday. You know what that means. Fight Club with Lonzo coming your way in about 25 minutes. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Be right back, guys. Stay right there.
Comics and games. Reimagined, bigger and better than before.
All right. Sorry about the no sound. If you notice, that happens a lot when we have guests, and it's because Rob and I both control the StreamYard. And so sometimes someone brings us back and forgets to unmute us, and I need to watch that a little bit closer. So apologize for that. And thank you for pointing it out whenever you hear it or see it. Ultimately, it's my fault. I need to monitor that more, but where we both control it, sometimes that happens. It was a good interview, though. Glad you got to hear most of it. Again, Joe and Trey and Steven, I appreciate it when you guys point that out. But that's usually, you notice that happens a lot right when we do that, and need to try to keep an eye on it a little bit closer. I know, Kevin. You could say you have one job, but I have multiples. So, there's that.
What are we apologizing for?
So sometimes when we have guests,
Yeah.
you bring us back and you forget to unmute it.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't catch it. And I'm thanking them for pointing that out, because when they pointed it out, I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it now.
So see what Drew hooked us up with.
Well,
Yes.
I notice it's all for one person there.
It's multiples of everything.
Okay. I'm just kidding. I don't care.
I do.
It's
If you think I'm not hanging scarves, you're crazy.
Oh, no, you should. Yeah.
I needed one more to fill out the scarf wall.
Oh, okay. So you taking stuff okay in there. Oh, that's nice. It looks silky.
It is. All din.
You should hold it down a little bit further, because you held it above the banner so they couldn't see it. Like, look at the camera, dude. There we go.
Look at that.
There we go.
That's a good soccer scarf, dude. Problem is, do I hang it with the Furman logos and the Furman Paladins out, or do I hang it on the All Dins?
Well, here's what you do.
I'm going All Din, right?
Here's what you do is you take the one out of the other bag too, and you hang
Just
two
take
of
two
them.
of them?
Yeah, that's what you do.
There's 3 in here.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I mean,
That's coming home. He brought us some flags to fly.
So,
Love that.
so there's 3. So I wasn't added in there, I guess.
I don't know how many there are. There's
I'm just kidding. I don't care.
some Southern Conference Champions T-shirts.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. You can have a flag. He brought 5 of them. The third, the final, the best, the money hour. The Rob Brown Show starts now. This is the Fan Upstate, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob Brown, the great one Lonzo on the 1s and 2s on the other side of the metaphorical glass. Thanks again to our main hombre, Drew Ingram from Furman, coming by for a minute. Dropped off some swag to hang on the walls here on the stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, on YouTube by searching and subscribing to the Fan Upstate, and on Twitch by searching and subscribing to the Rob Brown Show.
It's an awesome scarf. It really is, but
great scarf.
it doesn't match what you have on, and it's kind of bothering me.
It clashes. Well, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to Rob Brown matching completely. I mean,
Usually
you got
he
to
does.
watch the glasses, you got everything going there,
Yeah.
and then you throw that beautiful purple,
the-
which it is beautiful.
the
It
all
is.
black kicks to match the jersey today. You tie it together when you can tie it together.
I don't know. Will you stand? That doesn't glow or anything, does it?
Which one?
Any of that stuff? Because that could be.
The watch lights up.
It could be a disadvantage to us in about an hour or so.
Shoot. We're like minus 250 on the money line
So
today.
you move like lightning, so it's not going to matter. Is that what you're saying? Okay. All right. All right.
Cha-ching.
I'm a liability in one of the things we're going to do, because I've never actually played it, but I've already, you noticed that we talked about it. I talked about strategy because I have an idea, because I know I'm going to be the first one eliminated, about, how long before you can get back in the game, how I can position myself to help the team, because I'm a tank, in whatever I do. That's just how I play a game. So
it's going to be great. Handing out all the L's, popping off all the smoke.
yeah, it's gonna be great as long as we can get other people to play. There's some
As far as
fans.
I'm concerned, if you don't enter the arena,
Well, then you're already a
that's an L.
loser. You're already a loser.
Yeah.
I agree, but there's some fancy people in the building. As I will not deign to do such a trivial Neanderthal thing. Yes, Rob put his snooty nose up in the air. It was, we got some of those. I'm sure you got one in your building. I mean,
That's all right. If you don't play the game, you have already taken the L, my man. As Michael Scott once said, that Wayne Gretzky once said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
And now I have time to play the game in my head.
Okay. Let's get to this, ladies and gentlemen. It's here. The NBA Finals will tip off this evening as the Denver Nuggets take on the 8th seed out of the East, the Miami Heat. Michael Malone, head coach, said if you are looking at the Heat and going, oh, they're just an 8th seed, you're wrong. That's not the way to handle that. And frankly, he's correct. This Miami team was very good through the playoffs, and then they hit a little bit of a speed bump against the Boston Celtics. Arguably the best team in the East this year. Not worried about that. Scratch that. Am worried about that. But I think Miami being taken to 7 by Boston, despite the fact that it was 3 in a row that Boston had to win to get there, does not disqualify from Miami from being considered a very good basketball team. I just have one question for the Heat. How the hell are you going to stop Jokic? Jokic is minus 125 to average a triple-double in the NBA Finals. Do you understand how bat-boat insane that number is?
That's amazing, and it's an awesome thing, but you don't shut him down. You don't stop him. You stop other people. You stop everybody. If you can stop everybody else, let him score 60. But if you stop everybody else, he doesn't get the assists. He might still get the rebounds, but if you can stop everybody else, you stop him from getting a triple-double, and you can beat the team. Who's number 2 on the Denver team?
Jamal Murray.
You shut Jamal Murray down. If you can shut Jamal Murray down, if you stop them from hitting the 3-pointers. By the way, did Denver dominate anybody in the playoffs yet?
They dominated the Lakers.
They did. No, they didn't dominate. They had one game where they had a really big victory. The rest was 4 or 5 points each time. And from what I understand, when they played Miami during the season, they only won 4 or 5. So, if you can shut down everybody else and just let Jokic shoot all he wants, you got a shot to win the game.
They won the opening round series 4-1 over Minnesota.
See, you're looking at it. I get that, but I'm talking about margin of victory. How many points are they winning by?
I get it. I get what you're saying.
They seem to let teams stick around. And if you let a team stick around, all it takes is one hot hand to beat you.
Here's what I would argue about Denver. Denver takes on the same feel that Nikola Jokic has. They're boring, right? They're blue collar. They're boring. They're not flashy. They're not going to go out there and try to run you by 35. Because when the series ends, it is not first team to win 4 games by 15 points or more. It's first team to win 4 games. So Denver is a team that once they get up 10, 12, 15 points, they don't try to pile on. There's no need to pile on. A 1-point victory counts as much as a 6-point victory, as a 16-point victory, as a 26-point victory. It's the same dub.
But it's not the same for the loser, because that loser, you're giving them hope. If you only win by 1 point or 5 points, which is basically the same thing in the NBA, as quickly as we've seen how quickly you can score points with just a couple seconds. If you do that, you give that other team hope. You're not beating them down to the point where they're done after they're down 2 games.
Yeah,
You're saying, hey, you still got a shot.
That's fine. They did that to the Lakers, right?
Right.
Grab your broom because it was a sweep.
It absolutely was.
In the annals of NBA
Is Miami
history,
is a Miami team better than the Lakers team?
Yes. Yes.
Right. Lakers didn't belong there, but they got there anyway.
Lakers didn't belong there, though they did knock off John the Grizz, the 2 seed, and Golden State as the 6 seed. Sure. I mean, I would be hard pressed to say
A Golden State team that wasn't really that good this year.
I wouldn't say they weren't that good. I would say they weren't as good as they've been in years past.
All right. They were
sure.
not defending champion good.
But they also beat them 4-2. The Grizz were that good this year. They were the 2 seed. LA beat them 4-2, right? The point that I'm making here is that this team's boring. They're not flashy. They're not going to wow you. As I have described them in the past, they're all steak and no sizzle, right? They're not coming out with presentation. They're coming out with quality. And that's what they've done in every series so far. 4-1, 4-2 against the very game Phoenix Suns team. And then 4-0 against the Lakers. That series was the first series that, yes, it looked like the Lakers didn't belong there. Let's not pretend the Lakers didn't look damn good against Memphis and Golden State. They did.
Wouldn't you say that Denver had an easier trek to the finals than Miami did? As far as competition goes.
Yes, I absolutely would.
And also, wouldn't you say that for some teams a layoff hurts them?
And that is a big question. 9 days since Denver's last game, a week and a couple versus what, 4 for Miami? It's absolutely a big question mark. But here's the thing. I think layoffs hurt you if your offense is predicated on a bunch of good timing, a bunch of great chemistry, a bunch of sizzle. I don't think it hurts you when you play old school, run the offense through the 5-spot type basketball. I don't think it hurts you as much. I think if this was flipped the other way around, if Miami had a 9-day layoff and Denver played 4 days ago, that is a bigger layoff I would be concerned about because Miami's offense is predicated around Jimmy Butler. Drive, penetrate, and either score or dish. And it takes a lot of off-ball movement. It takes a lot of timing. It takes precision passing. Denver's doesn't. What is Denver's offense predicated on? Get the ball to Nikola Jokic in the paint, let the defense collapse around him, and then he either goes up or he finds the open guy for one of his 12.5 assists he gets out of the freaking paint. The layoff would hurt Miami. I don't think it hurts Denver. I think, in fact, if anything, it probably helped. I think there's a lot of NBA teams that a 9-day layoff, Lonzo, would absolutely hurt. I think any team that runs a point guard prominent offense is hurt. I think any team that runs a shooting guard 2-lead triangle style is hurt. The one style of basketball team that I don't think is hurt by a layoff is a big man centric team, a methodical big man central team that relies not on outrunning and outgunning your defense, but instead manipulating your defense into what they want it to be. That's Denver. That's Michael Malone and Nikola Jokic to a T. If your offense is predicated on running around the defense, running through the defense, etc., I think you're in trouble. A team like Golden State would be hurt by the layoff because they also rely on the outside shooting. Does Denver rely on outside shooting? No, absolutely not. They have it. It's in the back pocket if they need it. But if Miami comes out cold and Denver comes out cold, Denver's got the advantage because the percentage of shots that Denver's going to take from inside 5 feet is dramatically higher than the same number from the Miami Heat. So I get what you're saying. And I don't think it's unfair to ask how much the layoff will hurt Denver. I'm not saying they're going to come out and just be crisp as hell out of the gate. What I'm saying is a not crisp Denver offense is not an offense that's going to be in a lot of trouble. If Golden State is off 9 days, they're in trouble. The Miami Heat, if they're off 9 days, they're not in devastating trouble. I think they're in a little bit more trouble than Denver is. But because Denver is big man centric, because Denver is based in the paint, running the offense through Nikola Jokic, as opposed to Nikola Jokic being the final option in the offense, I think Denver's going to be just fine. In fact, not only do I think Denver's going to be just fine, give me Denver on the money line tonight. They're like -9 in Vegas, by the way. Now, Vegas has been struggling with picking spreads really in the whole NBA playoffs. They have been struggling picking spreads.
So Denver has to win by 10 for you to make money?
If you bet the money line.
Okay. When's the last time they did that? I'm just, they don't win by a lot. They don't.
But I genuinely think that is the plan. I think that's the goal. The goal is not to go beat you by 26. I mean, they will if they can. But I think Denver's goal is to grab that 10, 12-point lead. Look at the last couple of games against the Lakers, right? The Lakers were close until the third quarter. And that's fine. Because
they're close until Anthony Davis got tired. And then once he got tired, it was over.
Effectively.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's the goal. Denver's offense is the definition of work smarter, not harder, right? Denver does not have a stamina problem because their offense is not predicated on speed. It's predicated on size and precision. Denver is a rope-a-dope offense. Denver is a rope-a-dope offense. Denver is going to they're going to lean on the ropes and they're going to let you swing and swing and swing and exhaust yourself. And once you're exhausted, it's all power punches for the rest of the ride. It's all power. Whack. Couple of left hooks, couple of crosses, put you on the mat. Because again, if the boxer wins via a judge's decision in the 10th round, they still get the belt. And that's all that matters here. A knockout in the first round gets you the same belt that a judge's decision in the 10th round gets you. So I think Denver's strategy for every series so far has been keep it close for 3 quarters, let them wear themselves out, running up and down the floor, trying to outpace us, don't overdo it, and when the 4th quarter rolls around, beat the hell out of them. Let Jokic do Jokic things. Let Jamal do Jamal things when the Jokic things make the defense collapse. And all you got to do is outpace him. Because if you're going to win by 26, Lonzo, you got to have a lead in the first and you got to win all 3 quarters going into the 4th to have a 26-point victory. If you win by 2, you can lose all 3 quarters. All you got to do is win the 4th. And I think that's the Nuggets plan. Give me Denver. I'm going to go on the money line tonight. I'm not going to go against the spread. In fact, let me look and see if that line has changed. The last I saw, it was -9 for the Nuggets. Tonight, it is still at -9. Denver's -9 at a -110 number. I will probably hedge this a little bit. Predominantly because the money line number isn't there. They're -375 to win outright. You know what? I actually might play the spread. I'm not super confident Denver wins by 9. Well, wins by 10. Not to be the push with an even number. I'm not super confident that Denver wins by 9 or better. But -110 is a heck of a better number than -375 on the off chance that Jimmy Buckets shows up again. Which, by the way, make this shot now, Lonzo. Miami will only win games in this series in which Jimmy Butler scores 35 or more. True or false?
False. When Tyler Hero comes back, it could be a different story. And he's supposed to be back by game 3.
That is, you know what? That's fair. That's fair. I still think, okay, let me rephrase that. Miami will only win games in this series in which Jimmy Buckets is 35 points or better, or Tyler Hero and Jimmy Buckets combined for 50.
I agree.
Okay.
By the way, I'm going Miami tonight because I think Miami's best chance of getting one in Denver is this first game because of the layoff, because Denver's been off so long. And even though Miami's had to play hard, I mean, they were up 3-0 and then had to fight back and win game 7. So they've been like on the edge the entire time. I think that gives them a little more of an edge tonight. I think they come out strong and they get this first game by like 1.
Final thought. I am going, you know what I'm going to do tonight? Denver's going to win this game. So I'm going to put I'm going to put the bigger bet on Denver minus 375, which gives me no return at all. But I'm going to try to boost that a little bit. I'm also going to put some cash on Miami plus 9 at minus 110. So it's a hedge out if Denver doesn't win. And if Miami wins or is within 9, I'm going to get some of that coin back. That's going to be the play for me tonight. I think. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a break. It's Thursday. And you know what that means. Next up, Fight Club! With the great Lonzo, we take a look at the world of boxing, the world of professional wrestling. 3 pay-per-view events this past weekend. We got to get some results and some reaction. We will do that when we come back. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. This is the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
Gables.
All right, guys. Got a live read. Y'all stay right there. All right, dudes and dudettes, we are back. Thank you guys for hanging out with us.
Let it back.
I agree. I want to see Nikola just go full rage troll for winning the NBA Finals MVP award. Absolutely.
And I want to see Jimmy win. I just want to see Kevin Love win again. I just do. So he can retire and say, suck it, Cleveland.
Dude, Wendy said that the sweep of the Lakers, he said that was the most impressive I've ever seen a team get swept. There's so much reason for optimism in that sweep. I was like, what the hell? You guys are so desperate, dude.
Yeah.
So desperate.
I don't know why that was impressive.
Did you see Shannon Sharp's done with Skip? Was that the thing? Leave it on. I want to talk about it anyway. I'm just going to do it anyway then. I'm going to work that in.
Welcome into the Fight Club, where we walk up into place and punch you right in your beard. Now, you may say, why do you punch someone right in their beard? Because what does your beard outline? What does your beard showcase? What does your beard say X marks the spot to? It's your mouth, man. That's what it does. It says, look, here's my mouth. Punch this. That's what we do.
No. You're so wrong, dude.
Am I?
Yes.
Am I?
It says, I'm a man. I'm 40.
No. If you're going to punch someone in the face, it's saying, here it is, right here. Here's my mouth, right here. My mouth may have got lost in my chin if I didn't have a beard.
Nah.
But since I have a beard, you're saying, here it is, right here. Punch it.
That's what I'd say if I couldn't grow a beard.
I hope you get like
You
brilliant.
literally have a beard right now.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the beard. I'm just saying it showcases your mouth and says, punch me here.
Okay.
I mean, come on. All right.
What are you driving at here?
I don't know. We're getting ready to we're getting ready to roll up into place in about, 35 minutes. We're gonna punch everybody in the beard. That's what we're gonna do at Odyssey Field Day, because that's what I want to call it, Odyssey Field Day. All right, time to make Rob mad by starting out with some Jake Paul, because it's the right thing to do on a day like today. All right, Jake Paul has called out Conor McGregor. Your two favorite people in the fight game. Here's what Jake Paul says. I think Conor McGregor is funny as bleep. Guess what, Conor? I'll beat the bleep out I'll beat the bleep out of you. And you can't box as good as me. And I'm going to do to Nate what you couldn't, which is knock him the bleep out. But that money fight will always be there. And when I knock Nate Diaz the bleep out and you realize I'm the biggest fight for you, call me and I'll answer. So Jake Paul is fighting Nate Diaz on August 5th, and he wants Conor next. But he said, ask Daddy Dana if you're allowed to come and fight me, because no one controls who I fight.
Okay, that's objectively funny.
It is.
That's I don't care how you feel about the guy. That is objectively funny.
By the way, Conor McGregor is on the I always forget I always want to call it Tough Enough, but it's not, because
Ultimate Fight.
It is Ultimate Fighter.
Ultimate Fighter.
He's doing that right now. He's one of the coaches.
Yeah.
And the first one was on, I think, Tuesday or something like that. I watched some of it. So
Conor McGregor's on a reality show. Somebody wake me up.
All right. So I think the big question here is, since you can't stand either one of them, who would you root for?
A nap.
All right. That's not, see, you're doing that intellectual. I'll just change. This is not the Kobayashi Maru. And if you know what that is.
Feel great one.
Yeah.
How does having your hypothetical stomp
No. Hypotheticals. No. Hypotheticals and either ors are two totally different things. We're talking about an either or situation. You got to pick one, not the, well, I'll just take a nap, or I'm just not going to participate. That's not how this works. Who would you root for?
I'm not rooting for anybody.
Who would you root for? You can't play along. You can't pick one over the other.
Because now,
the
question is, who do you think would win? If you want to force me to give you an answer, who do you think would win?
All right. Thank you for correcting me on how to actually ask a question.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right. So you already asked yourself the question. I can't remember it. It's too difficult for me.
I don't think anybody wins because I think it's a fake fight.
You think Conor would actually do a fake fight? I don't. I don't think
He literally
No.
already did
No,
one.
no, no,
He's
no,
done
no.
multiple.
No.
Oh
He-
yeah, no. Him and Floyd,
That was-
genuinely good boxing
that
match,
that
right?
was not fake. Floyd
Oh,
got scared, and when he got scared because Conor punched him a couple times, he started to grab him and do things trying to get Conor to go into UFC mode. So you're a boxing snob, and because you're a boxing snob, it makes it hard for you to step outside of that, and I appreciate it. You are the boxing expert in the upstate. No one else has been out there with Roy Jones like you have, and that's not me being sarcastic. That's me being serious. So, but you have that mentality of a boxing purist. So you can't look at it and think, okay, if this was a real fight, we'll pretend like what you're saying is true. If this were a real fight, Conor McGregor versus your boy Jake Paul, who wins the fight?
Everybody who doesn't want
All right, text line 71307. Everybody else on the stream, you can jump in since Rob won't participate. I'm going to say Conor McGregor wins. And here's the other thing. I think Nate Diaz is making a mistake if he thinks Conor would throw a fight against him, because Conor doesn't need the money, and Conor will straight up mess up Jake Paul. I said it wrong. Jake Paul.
in an MMA fight.
In a
Yes.
boxing
Conor
match.
McGregor is an average boxer
So
at the best.
yeah, but what is Jake Paul?
An average boxer at the best.
Right. So I'm going to go with the experience. I'm going to go with
What
the
experience? He's
tenacity.
an MMA fighter. He's not a boxer. Jake Paul and Conor McGregor have the same amount of experience. Neither one of them has professional boxing experience.
Thank you to everyone on the stream who's actually participating in this little debate, as opposed to the purist over there who just refuses to participate.
No, you're
Conor McGregor wins this fight hands down, and he will not, even if he signs a thing that he'll get sued for afterwards, he won't care. He'll go in and end this. He will end this thing finally, and Rob will say, "Thank you, Conor McGregor. Now Jake Paul can go away forever." You can keep reeling, but when this happens, when this happens, I don't think Rob will call in sick. I think he will actually come on and say, "Lonzo, you were right." And not for the first time. He's had to say that before, and he'll get to say it again. And I won't gloat. I will say, "Congratulations, Rob. Jake Paul will now go away forever, and you won't ever have to hear his name again."
Here's hoping.
There you go.
If that is the result of because Conor McGregor's not going anywhere. So if the result of a Conor, you know what? I can answer your question now. You have just given me an answer. If the result of a Conor McGregor win is the disappearance of Jake Paul, then I am Team McGregor, because that's the only outcome where I benefit from it.
Right. And that's what I was trying to get to.
So I'll answer it that way.
I was trying to get to that the entire time, but you just fought me the whole way. I was looking out for you in this.
I don't apologize.
Okay. All right. Let us go to a real boxer, someone who's won multiple championships, who will be right here in the upstate of South Carolina next week for the BMW Classic. We're talking about Canelo Alvarez, and I won't be here. I'll be on vacation, but Rob is trying to get him on the show, and that would be awesome.
Canelo, my dog. I love Canelo Alvarez. Let me tell you real quick, 1 second story. Last year after the BMW Pro-Am, Canelo Alvarez was out there. Canelo Alvarez is, of course, Mexican. After the BMW Pro-Am round, the second round last year, when Canelo was leaving the 18th hole, there were probably 250 people, predominantly Mexican, who lined up just to get a chance to meet Canelo Alvarez. Canelo shook every hand, signed every autograph, took every picture with everyone who asked. And he did it not just because the fans have helped make him who he is, but he understands, and I've heard them say this in an interview. I hope we get him on the air so I can ask him this question. He understands that boxing is at its best when people are invested. And if him taking an extra 10 minutes to shake a baby and kiss a hand will get the sport better off, he's going to do it. I have a deep respect for Canelo Alvarez. I very much hope we get him on the air.
So how's his golf game, though?
Really good, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, well, inside I didn't see his drive, but inside of 200, he was a masher.
Okay.
I assume so a boxer, like, there's a lot of bleed from throwing a punch into a drive, right? It's the same concept. You're pushing off your back foot, you're opening the hips through the contact, you're pointing your knee towards target, your shoulders rotate, but you want to keep that head still and keep your eyes on target. There's a lot of the same fluid motion between a boxing, throwing a punch, throwing a cross, and boxing and hitting a golf ball. So I imagine Canelo's probably the longest driver of the celebrities out there.
So you mentioned being fluid. So wouldn't you believe the fluidity has to be for a boxer that is not, jacked beyond belief, just trying to throw haymakers? It's someone who's got good footwork,
Yes.
who's able to move,
Yeah.
all that kind of
I
stuff.
would imagine somebody with excellent boxing technique who's a little less beefcake would outdrive a boxer who's immensely strong but doesn't know how to hit a golf ball.
All right, let's jump over to wrestling. As Rob mentioned, there were two premium live events and one pay-per-view over the weekend, and we haven't had a chance to talk about it. Seth Rollins is now the champ. Wow, didn't see that coming.
Called it.
The only exciting part about that whole thing was what he was wearing. It was like curtains, and then he wore it again on Monday night. So the only reason why Seth Rollins is the champion is because of his song. It has nothing to do with wrestling ability. It's his song. His song is over more than he is.
No, you're wrong.
And if
just
you're
wrong.
listening, Seth, which you could be because you may be in Atlanta filming right now, you're not as over as your song. I don't care. You're welcome to call in and dispute it.
No, you're just wrong. I don't need Seth to call in. He's still welcome to, but I don't need him to.
No, I need
You're
him
wrong.
to. I need him to call
Seth
in. So I will make him hang up.
Seth Rollins is first of all, talented wrestler. Second off,
He's all right.
a very good promo. even with the
Seth
annoying
Rollins
laugh.
was the weakest and still is of the Shield,
No,
without a doubt. Oh yeah,
No.
yeah.
I will give you that Roman Reigns has increased his mic ability exponentially in the past.
It's all about
year and a half.
overall package.
Um,
Seth's got a good song.
no, I would disagree. I think Seth Rollins is a better wrestler than Dean Ambrose. Sorry, John Moxley. I think Moxley's an entertaining wrestler because you're like, what the hell's going to happen next? But I think Seth Rollins is a better storytelling wrestler.
I will not put
than
up with the
Mox.
disparaging of my favorite wrestler, John Moxley.
It's not disparaging.
Yeah,
it's just
it's I mean, he's Seth Rollins
spitting
clearly
facts.
number 3, even now, as far as
Just
fandom goes and things like that.
spitting
Yeah.
facts, my dude.
Speaking of new champs, Bianca Belair, which we both predicted, went down to Asuka, and in a creative way of using the mist, she puts it on her hands and then rubs it in Bianca's eyes. And I thought that was, I don't recall ever seeing that happen with people who use mist throughout my long life. I
Michael
don't recall.
Cole said that's something she picked up from the Great Muta, which is obviously where the mist gimmick started from. I don't know if that's true or not.
I haven't really seen a lot of Muta matches.
Right.
so.
I haven't either. So I don't know if that's true or not. What I do know is those little one-off creative moments that you don't see coming are what make wrestling great. I had a great laugh when Seth slid out of the ring and put his arm around Rhea Ripley on Monday night, and for a second Rhea leaned in, and then she gave him the, hey, what are you doing? You can't do that kind of thing. A throwback to HBK, because he did that with, I think, Melina at one point back in the day.
That was Melina.
Wildly hilarious. Those types of things are what 2 guys getting in there or 4 guys getting in there and just wrestling, like that can be really good. But those little moments are what make wrestling great. And Asuka did a phenomenal job with that. And on top of that, went ahead and fully, because my biggest concern was Asuka wins, but then is she going to immediately do a basic double switch where Bianca's going to come back as a full-fledged heel? And the answer is no. Asuka established herself as a chicken boat, do what it takes to win heel, and I appreciated that moment.
All right, and finally, the bloodline is crumbling. Or will they swerve us and put it back together? I don't know if you can do that. Little Jimmy, decides to super kick Roman not once, but twice, and it's about time. It's about time. And Roman, proving that he's a better wrestler than Seth Rollins, really sold the kicks big time.
I will say this. As I've been saying the whole run of this story is as and always will be about Jey Uso. The story's about Jay. Now, Jay has kind of become probably the fourth most important character right now in that story. Jimmy just jumped him in terms of importance, but the story is about Jay. And that, the first off, the Usos both deserve an Emmy for their acting in this. They've been phenomenal. But the story got told not by the super kick from Jimmy, which was great, or the second super kick from Jimmy, which is also great. The story got told by Jay's reaction. Because on one hand, when he's like, why'd you do that, man? Why'd you do that? You could tell that he was like, he's afraid of what Roman can and might do to them. But after the second kick, you saw that little click where he's like, okay. I think I'm okay with this. I don't know if I'm okay with this, but I think the story's always been about Jay. That being said, that last shot of Sammy up on the corner post, holding the ropes, looking up past Roman at him. God, what a great way to end that night.
Yeah, and holding the belts over him. And the thing is, though,
Sammy's done in this story. Yeah. That's the great part. Is it's all bloodline now, and I'm here for it.
So back in the beginning when Jay was being treated the way he was, Jimmy wasn't around because he was injured or was suspended. I don't remember which one it was. And Jimmy, when he came back, was like, why you let him treat you that way? And all this. Then suddenly he was in and he was good. So if they actually add something to the story saying that this has been festering all this time from when the bloodline first started, how Jay was being treated, I think that works really good. And I love them both kicking Solo because you still don't know what Solo is going to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that was great because Solo's going to watch his two brothers who are now going to start calling out Roman for the stuff that he has done to manipulate his way to being the guy, how they've done all the heavy lifting the whole time. Now the story, while it is, again, I still think about Jay and the Usos. Now we're going to get to watch the breakdown of Solo Sikoa, as well as the manic of Roman trying to hang on that belt till WrestleMania without 66% of the reasons that he's been able to hang on to that belt for over 1,000 days now.
By the way, one last thing, Cody passes out to the Kimura. I thought that was a pretty good match, especially when they were pointing out the entire time that cast is made of titanium. It's like, okay, when's he going to hit him with it?
A lot.
And then finally he did. And Monday night he called him out again. So we are going to get a rubber match for that. Especially I love the crack about Cody saying that Brock is on his vacation, his summer vacation or whatever he said. I thought that was pretty funny. All right, let's jump to AEW really quick. Couple things happened at the pay-per-view that stood out to me. For one, Chris Statlander is now the TBS champion. That did not see that coming. Everything was set up for Ty Valkyrie to win, and she did not. Then Statlander comes back and beats the champ, who had won 70 matches, I think, before she finally lost. And Jade Cargill finally loses, and it's Chris Statlander. And she's one of they talk about pillars and stuff. She's been around for a really long time.
Yeah, she
gets hurt a lot.
I'll say she's been screwed by injuries throughout her career, but she is a wildly entertaining professional wrestler. Jade's going to take some time off, which is very much deserved. She has carried that belt and I think done it incredible justice, not just for the win streak, but the ability to be a respectable heel. And she had some bangers with that belt. She had one against Willow, who is like a float around jobber about 3 months ago.
No, she's a champ in New Japan
for
right now.
AEW.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But at the time, kind of a float around jobber for AEW. And they put on a match that I couldn't take my eyes off of. It was incredible. Jade Cargill did a wonderful job. And I suspect we are going to be setting ourselves up for Jade to come back and make a run at Toni Storm.
All right, two more things before we go to break. Something else that stood out. Don Callis brings out Takeshita to help the Blackpool Combat Club destroy the Elite even further. And I'm down for this. He keeps hinting that he's going to build his own family, a Don Callis stable. I'm interested to see who else is in there because Takeshita is definitely a star in the making. That dude he's got size, he's got speed, he's got strength, and he doesn't have to learn any more English because he's got Don Callis to speak for him.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And I wondered when they split Don Callis from Kenny Omega, the answer, like why, and that was That was the answer. And frankly, it's a very good answer. Kenny Omega doesn't need anybody to work the mic for him. He's good.
Yes.
He can do that. The Young Bucks, the Elite, don't need anybody. And with Hangman back in the mix, they really don't need anybody to work the mic.
Still digging the eye patch. I don't like but the eye patch works.
It's a good gimmick all around. Callis is a great talker. He's a great mouthpiece. And Takeshita, as he continues to progress and learns English for his AEW shows, Don Callis is a perfect guy, but you've got to pair him with a heel. You can't pair Don Callis with a face. So Takeshita turning was not just a bit of a swerve, but a damn good one for a reason.
All right. And finally, in a move that no one saw coming, last night, Tony Khan announces that CM Punk is back and is going to be there for the first Saturday show in Chicago. Wow. Completely shocked by this. And I don't care, by the way.
Let's just say, as Ted Lasso so eloquently put it last night, I hope that we are not, he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said, I hope we are either all of us or none of us judged by our actions, but by our response when and if we're lucky enough to get a second chance. I thought it was very poignant from old Ted Lasso as the series finale got watched last night. Very, very good finale to the show. I really hope CM Punk learned a lesson here. I don't think he did. And I suspect it's going to blow up on Tony again in the next year. But I hope he did. Back after this to wrap up the show on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Correct.
Way to take away almost everything that I have for Twitter, like in the last few seconds of the mark this off of here. I'll leave that on there. But Ted Lasso was on the Twitter trending topics and no longer is. It was Rob created a game and now he just ruins it all the time.
I might talk about Ted Lasso anyway.
Well, it's your show, so I mean, yeah. We've got limited time anyway.
True.
You know what, Trey? I don't even know if that works because I don't know. I think those guys don't want to be overshadowed. Tim, you're killing me, man. Are you guys here? Like, no, we're on the air till 12. You've been, so he just got there.
Yeah.
So. I get it. Because I got very few people to hang with too. That's why I keep talking to who I know who's going to be there so I can, you know. He's told me how much fun it was last year at the Star Awards with us not there. Why would you get food when there's free food in there? Read your email, people. This don't make no sense. I gotta say, I at least read half the email. I may not read all of it, but you know. Oh, we just have basically Odyssey field day, Steven. That's all. Or Josh. My bad. I do interrupt Rob too much, but you know what? I interrupt everybody. So it's not just Rob. It's just, if you pause, that's your fault. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. If you're downtrodden and feel like your voice is never heard, when there's opportunity, you got to take it. And I get paid very little to be a smart aleck, but I do get paid. Take that, Mom.
Oh, Skrilla.
Yeah, it will make you feel old.
I can
for
see
sure.
your gray hairs through the computer, buddy.
It's all right. They're distinctive and don't worry about it. Don't be that wash that gray guy out. Just let it go. I think Rob plucks his.
What, my eyebrows?
No, there it is.
Oh, there's
some
definitely gray
It's
in
still there. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I'm just leaving it. I have decided I don't care. Right up in here, it's all starting to show up too. And I'm just leaving it. I don't care.
By the way, your hair now reminds me of Keanu Reeves at the end of Point Break before he was getting ready to go film Bill and Ted.
Dude.
Now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
Sorry. Hey man, I have free food on my mind. That's all.
I respect that.
Yeah, just
I
thinking
respect
of free food. All right.
Any other day, I would have fired you on the spot.
Oh
Montel,
yeah.
but today, you're off the hook.
You know what? my boss is where we're going, and he ain't listening. That's all I'm saying. All right. The first thing that's trending is Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman. It is Morgan Freeman's 89th birthday today.
86.
I was close. I was all over it. I can't even do it. Nobody can do Morgan Freeman but Morgan Freeman.
AI will do it when he's gone.
Can Morgan Freeman get to a point where he is more known for narrating documentaries than his movies? Has he reached that point?
How many people really listen to voiceover and go, "Oh, I know who that is. I know who that is." I think you and I do it, but that doesn't mean everybody else does that. But yeah, it's pretty distinctive. Like right now, almost everything's done by John Cena. All right, the next thing that's trending is Tom Holland. We couldn't see him in the first place anyway, so voiceover works really good for John Cena. Tom Holland is trending.
It's Tom Holland's 21st birthday.
27.
Really? Is that?
Yeah.
Damn, I thought he was much younger.
He's one of those guys who looks really young until he doesn't, and when he doesn't, he's done.
3 years from now, he's going to be playing Gandalf in a Lord of the Rings spinoff.
All right, the next thing that is trending is Bray Wyatt.
I saw he was trending earlier. I do not know why. I did see that. I saw yesterday. I'm assuming this might be it. That there are discussions ongoing with WWE to allow Bray to come back as the Fiend. To bring
what I've seen is that they didn't like the Uncle Howdy thing, and they wanted him to come back as a Fiend, and he doesn't want to. So we'll see.
Whatever.
And finally, why not? Shannon Sharp is trending.
So Shannon has quit First Take. Good.
No, it's not First Take. It's
not First Take. Skip and Shay.
It's
undefeated.
Undisputed.
I don't know because I don't watch it.
You got there though.
Here's my impression of Undisputed. LeBron James. Listen.
Well done.
I have no problem with yelling.
Really?
None.
Okay.
Shocking. I know. I have no problem with yelling. But yelling out of the sense of the belief that he who yells louder wins the debate is annoying. Please stop celebrating hot take artists and start celebrating people who are good.
Yeah, my favorite thing to say, and I've said this to a few people before, is just because you're louder doesn't mean you're right. And to some people in a debate, if you yell louder or you talk louder than you win, that's not how debates work.
Ted Lasso series finale dropped. Well, it really dropped at midnight a couple of days ago. I got the chance to watch it last night. Let me just say, and I mean this sincerely, thank you to the cast, to the crew, to the writers, to the directors, to everybody who put that show together, because it was great. It was great. Third season got a little hectic. Third season got a little frantic. I think they ran out of time on a couple of stories that they were ultimately trying to tell. I think they had to leave a couple of things unfinished. And that's why I do think we will get a Ted Lasso spinoff, though we'll not have Ted Lasso in it. I think we're going to get another dimension of it down the line. But that show meant a lot to me. That show meant a lot to me. I took a lot away from that show, and I appreciate the folks who made it. If you have not watched Ted Lasso, find somebody with Apple TV, steal their login and password, and watch it, because it is a great
Don't steal,
watch.
borrow. I mean,
Borrow temporarily without payment.
let's go win.
Let's go win. All I do is win, no matter what. We're back tomorrow to wrap up the week on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. All right, guys, y'all are awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out. We got to run because we got to go kick some ass at some laser tag. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow to do it again. You are incredible people. Goodbye.